isolates this minion, so the freezing trap will return it to hand if Ensa attack. And because Ensa can't take that risk, this minion will just be stuck there for even longer, and giving Nordavind a little bit of extra time to develop and clear off this minion.
Though, yeah, there's actually no way of proccing the freezing trap. Unlike Ents, they don't play the Argent Commander.
Ents do have a single copy of
Oh,
Argent
and
Commander.
yeah, Ents have the Argent Commander. I'm sorry, yes. So it's not the one who don't have the Argent Commander, it's Ents who do. So Argent Commander is the only way of proccing the freezing trap and allowing this 10 damage to go face. But fortunately, they don't have it. This could be quite tricky. I'm guessing they can narrow it down to being a freezing trap at this point, knowing all 4 secrets, all 5 secrets have been drawn. But it could have been just a giant bait, to be honest.
Yep, it could have been, but they just can't afford to take the risk that it was a bait, because they knew that freezing trap was in hand, Subject 9 was played, so it was guaranteed. And I think we're going to see a pretty explosive turn from Nordavind here, as their board was just not dealt with.
Yep. We can get down as much as we want here. I think going for the spores to just expand the board a bit more. Could play down the Tundra Rhino and the Hyena. Start trading in all our beasts.
Finally going to proc this auto defense matrix, and yep, like you say, the Rhino is going to come down as well. This is going to get a lot of it, so they just need to make sure that they get everything done in time.
Yeah, unfortunately these plants aren't beasts, so they can't be traded in, so one of these hyenas will have to go in. Very unfortunate, as you can see.
I'm sure they'll...
They're very mad about that.
Yeah, so this Quail for Avenging Wrath is just the last thing Ents have available to them. Once that's gone, the Spellstone in Nordavind's hand, the Animal Companion, just so many more resources, because they've just cycled so much this game. They have been able to really just grind them out of stuff.
Good thing on Ents' side is that 18 HP is not a large health total. With this Equality Avenging Wrath coming down, that's 3 more damage going to face. Plus, the Kangler is going to get bounced from the freezing trap, and then this Glass Knight will also connect, meaning 7 damage will go to face this turn. And also, there's Glass Knight with a Divine Shield. Divine Shield is so tough for Hunters to deal with. And as the Hunter, you don't really have that many defensive tools, so if Ents just pick up a few more damaging tools, such as maybe another True Soul Champion, Argent Cannons, Avenging Wrath, Valenier, or maybe even one of their top end cards like Tyrion or Lich King.
They do get the perfect Avenging Wrath there, nothing left alive, meaning that they are free to play the 4 damage face, but there's the card.
That is the defensive tool you need. Definitely. Stock a Rexar, 5 armor, create unlimited taunts, every aggro deck.
Steal. Yeah, once you see Rexar come down, you are playing the aggro deck. You are just sad. But they can even just throw out a fully upgraded Spellstone before they play the Rexar, and these 4 3/3 wolves are not getting answered with what's in hand right now.
That is a true silver champion.
Yep.
This is 8 more damage going to face. If Rexar doesn't hit the taunts instantly, then maybe Ents could get that. Yeah, they have another equality. They have Consecrates. They do not. Yes, they do have Consecrates. But 2 of them,
don't have a second copy of Avenging Wrath though.
Consecrate also does 2 damage. But yeah, on the backswing they are taking so much damage. They're not going to clip the Spellstone. This is 12 damage, plus another 3 from the Smouldering Lance. I've never seen that card before, actually.
Not been playing any odd Dragon Warrior when the expansion first came out, Sheep?
I can't say I have, to be honest. Doesn't seem like
That-
my cup of tea.
Odd Dragon Warrior does not go face. At all. Yep. They're going to set up a lethal on the following turn and just hope that there are neither of the hero cards incoming. We can see that there very much are.
So, is there a way? So, the Rexart definitely comes down this turn. So, we're going to 8 HP. Most likely, we'll see the... No, we probably won't see the hero power. Might as well just play this Candle Shot down. But wait. I guess we're not gonna roll. We're not gonna roll for the taunt. Well, with the Dastal Rexart hero power.
I think there was a possibility that I think Leok was lethal.
Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
20, 23, 24.
6 plus 15, 23.
Oh, wait,
no, it would not. It'd be
It would have
28,
been one
I
off
think.
with the Dire Frenzy.
Yeah, it'd be a few off, but rolling for Amisha was also quite good. I think any of the options were quite good, and you don't... Even if you rolled for a taunt with the Rexar, you can't instantly play the taunt, so...
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
Companion was better play in that position. It does just set up the 2-turn lethal counter push, and Windfury Harpy's not the card to get them there.
That's just not enough. They were really looking for like a Consecrate, of course. That would like basically clear the whole board. Buy them another turn, they can draw the Varnir, maybe the Argent Commander. Fortunately, the Windfury Harpy is definitely not what they were looking for. And Nordwing goes to a running start, 2-0 up already.
Yep, but now, crucially though, they've got the Odd Rogue.
Yeah,
Odd Rogue needs to get through a
crucial.
Secret Hunter, it needs to get through an Even Paladin. And those two are not fantastic matchups for the Odd Rogue.
But there's also the Odd Rogue Mirror, and technically, you can't really get 3-0'd that easy. Even if you're very favored, it's statistically unlikely you get 3-0'd on a deck.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the mirror. That's the 50-50 already.
Yeah, that's just, do you go first? If yes, you're feeling quite good.
Yes.
Nobody likes going second in an Odd Rogue Mirror.
If you have a 1-drop, you're feeling very good. If you go first without a 1-drop, I'd rather get second.
Well, and looks like they're actually throwing out the Odd Rogue Mirror first of all. And, well, so Nordavind are going second. They have that going against them, but they do have some really important cards in the mirror. They've got the Deadly Poison, they've got the Diamol, they've got Crystallize as well if they want it, and maybe even Cold Blood to put onto one of these 1/3s. So a lot of really good early game. While looking at Enter's hand, it's completely awful. 3/5 drops, don't want any of it. Throw it all away.
Going second, probably don't need the Cold Blood. It actually is one of those cards that you think's good, but it's never really good because you're playing from behind. So the Deadly Poison, however, that's definitely a really good card. Basically cleans up 2-3 drops from your opponent. Even the Diamols clean those up too. I think you keep yeah, I agree. Probably the 1-drops are quite nice. They fit into most turns. Deadly Poison is definitely nice. Whereas No Rage and Ants on the other side have a Sapsy Deckhand, which is very terrible against Crystallizers and Argents.
Never mind. They are more
Now
off
they
the
have a
top.
Diamol. But look
Much
at their
better.
hand. Leroy Jenkins, Baku Munia. We're going first, but we're going to need some really good draws.
Yeah. And Nordavind pick up the Valspine while they're on the coin, which you're never too unhappy to see that in the mirror.
So we're going to start off with Crystallize, I assume, because you can't play that later on in the game when you're at 5 HP, or else you just die. So
Yep, that's always bad.
definitely want to start with Crystallizer.
Yep, just play as many 1/3s as possible in your Odd Rogue is, I think, generally a pretty solid strategy. 1/3s are good.
Oh, Tar Creeper. That's one of the big pickups Ants needed.
Yep,
It doesn't die to the Deadly Poison.
But it does die to the coin Valspine.
Yeah, that is so. So I guess we're
Odd Rogue
debating
Mirrors.
if we trade in the Diamol.
Yeah, this is what I was about to ask you. What's your stance on it?
I hit face every time. We're chipping that one.
Fair enough. Are you hitting face with the dagger here?
No. I'm trading it with the dagger. But this Damel's going face. Your opponent... I mean, he can go dagger, coin, deadly poison, but... We're using the coin, we're using a charge of the deadly poison dagger to kill off the Damel. I'd chip the one.
Yeah, seems valid. They're going to make that trade anyway, so take 1 damage.
Yeah, it's 1 damage lost, maybe on that. But Tar Creeper will come down here. It's the only real play. We can go triple 1-drop, actually. Maybe the triple 1-drop's better. But
I think I like triple 1-drop more. It's not like you have any combo cards in hand that you really want to be active. Yeah. Look at all these 1-drops.
Triple 1-drop actually puts down a lot of pressure, and then
I'd like to see triple 1-drop for Nordavind here.
Because the Tar Creeper doesn't really trade into anything. It has 1 attack on its turn. So you'd rather trade one of these 1/2s off into a free drop. And also makes them expend the dagger onto a 1/2 potentially, meaning they have to have dagger up eventually. So now that I think about it, I actually quite like triple 1-drop a lot.
Yeah, I think I do too. You can always beat Odd Rogue by just going wider than they are capable of dealing with. So I'd really like to see the triple 1-drop from Nordavind here as well.
It's kind of like why Odd Paladin beats Odd Rogue very consistently. You just go wide and the dagger only hits 1 minion. If you play 3 minions down, 2 minions survive. Basic math.
That's math for you.
Yeah.
3 minus 1 is 2. And now
we're in the same scenario.
Have come down for Nordavind, and they're probably thinking, man, I wish we played triple 1-drop last turn.
Yep, they wouldn't have a dagger. We would have probably 2 1/2s to trade into these divine shields. It'd be very, very nice.
But no, they've just got this Tar Creeper. While Tar Creeper is great at blocking things out and protecting your minions, you do need to have minions on the field to protect, otherwise it doesn't do very much.
So actually not breaking both divine shields. That's a play around Fungal Month for sure.
But like I was saying before, Coin Var Spine on a Tar Creeper.
It's pretty big.
Good.
You will have a 3/4, and then you get the dagger hit into the 1/2. You can trade 2 of your 1-dropped into the other 1/2, and then you have quite a nice board if you top deck Var Spine. You also have this Hench Clan Fug follow-up. And looking at Hence's hand, it really doesn't have anything going. If you don't even get off the Vile Spine...
Yeah.
So if you don't even have the Fungal Months, I mean...
Yeah, Fungal's really what Enso are currently relying on in this position. If they can't get off that Fungal Monster, their hand does literally nothing.
I mean, they can get it off. You can play it down as a 5-mana 2/2. I don't think it'll win the game, though.
I feel like that is a line which loses the game every single time.
Would it be better to pass or play a 5-mana 2/2? I wonder, because we might see this decision next turn.
Yeah, looking at these hands, I think we're going to see the choice between Dagger Pass or 5-mana 2/2. Ooh, string going just... Nah, yeah. You clear the minion every single time.
Yeah, Cold Blood would.
Right, how about a 3-mana 2/2 sheep? Is that better than a 5-mana 2/2?
Yeah, I mean it is. One costs 3 mana, one costs 5, but this could be a 3-mana 4/4, and will probably be a 3-mana 4/4.
Yeah, I think so.
Unfortunately. I've definitely tempoed out an Edwin a lot of times.
And it just doesn't feel very good.
Yeah, it doesn't, but sometimes it gets the job done.
In a very strange way. Yeah,
I think it might be deliberating if they should just throw out the Leroy and hopefully get a bigger Edwin. As an aggro player, I hate this spot because you know you're gonna lose the game. You're playing from
Yeah.
behind every single turn. Look at your hand quality, you definitely know this is not getting there. And you just hope your opponent...
Oh, sorry. We've just had a quick crash, apparently, so we'll be back at the game very shortly.
Apologies for the technical difficulties, but quick blooper, first game of the day. We'll get these sorted as day goes on.
Yeah. So nothing's really happening here. Nordvent have control of the board. They're using the Deadly Poison to maintain control of the board and just go as wide as possible. They have some minions. They have a Cobalt Scale in hand. And for Enzo now, it's really Myra's or bust.
Diamol. That was not good.
Diamol
I
is
don't
not
even know
Myra's
what
escape
would have
plan.
been good in that scenario, to be honest. There's not many good cards. I think you would have been looking at maybe like a Hench Confug. That's probably your best draw there. Because even if you drew like a Valspine, like, sure, if you got off the combo, it'd be insane, but look at your hand, you didn't have another one-drop to activate the combo. So, maybe Diamol wasn't that bad, because he can actually play the Fungal Mancer down.
Finally, it's a 5-mana 4/4 instead of a 5-mana 2/2. Oh yeah! Just a little bit of board being claimed here and there.
Yep. But with this 4-attack dagger, the 1/2, we can make some value trades here if we want to. Play down the Cobalt Scalebane. That's the big one. Cobalt Scalebane is actually, like, in these scenarios, it's actually quite good because it doesn't die to anything apart from Valspine. Or Leroy, I guess.
Yeah, if we see a Scalebane, we would actually probably see a defensive Leroy. And once you see a defensive Leroy, you're just happy.
Yeah, you know, 6 damage not going to her face.
Well, 6+ damage, because it means there's a
no
lot less
cold
propensity for Cold Bloods to hit you in the face without anything on board. Here we are.
Yeah, and also one deckhand's gone. So meaning the burst potential is even lower. I mean, Leroy defensively isn't that bad. I mean, we take 6 damage, but we clean the board, apart from the 1/1 whelps.
But you know what is really bad, Cheap? This hand.
Yes.
Firefly and back.
It's awful.
It's just so overwhelming.
That's a big pickup. Fledgling plus Henchland Fug, 2 free drops. Play those down every day.
Yeah.
And then next turn we follow up with Leroy Dagger and probably end the game, because unless there's a Valspine pickup or another Tar Creeper.
So many options.
It's not looking great. I think what would have been good would be a Tar Creeper, actually. That would have been a really good card one of these turns for the second one.
But they do only have one left.
Yep. And Myra's wouldn't even save them, I'd say.
You know you're in a rough spot when not even Myra's unstable element will help you win the game. It looks like we are coasting towards a very quick 3-0 to you. Punkomancer is just not it.
Yeah, it really is. And there's no way surviving. Once this Leroy comes down, they all know. Technically, we survive on board. Pick a pretty big board, I mean.
Yep.
2 3/4s, a 2/2. Even the deckhand.
Deckhand for good measure.
Wow.
Just like that.
What a start. Norderwind with the Frio. Some would have said that they would have predicted this in the beginning, but it was quite close. All those games were very, very close, I'd say.
Yep, but
Norderwind prevailed.
Yeah, they just had the slight edge in every single game. The last one, I think, was the one that Enzo didn't really have. Yeah, they just didn't really have anything they could do.
Hand.
yeah, that was after they mulliganed away the triple 5-drop hand as well.
They did go first. They were probably really happy they went first, and then they saw the hand.
Yeah, they went first. They top decked Diamol on 1, but they just didn't have the follow up. They didn't draw any of their good 3-drops, and the Coin Valspine on the Tar Creeper was just GG for the most part.
To be honest, at the end, all they really needed was that back and the Leroy to actually be cards playable.
Yeah.
So if they were playable cards, imagine having 2 more playable cards for the entire game. there are 2 dead cards.
Yeah,
Would have been a huge difference. Like, even if they're like dire moles or stuff, it would have changed the game entirely.
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
maybe
it's not the case.
Maybe if they had gone triple 1-drop on turn 3, might have gone differently, but we're going to hand things back to Run and Necra on the analyst panel, and I'm sure they'll have some things to talk about in that quick 3-0 sweep. So it's going to be a quick break from myself and Sheep, and we'll see you all shortly.
Hello, welcome back. We just saw the quick 3-0 win for Norwin, as I predicted. Maybe not 3-0, but Necra and I think it was, that predicted Norwin. My homeboys, I'm good friends with a lot of people on the team. So that was a little bit of an intense sweep, right? But I feel like the games were pretty close, as Green Sheep and Robobson were talking about. So in game 1, which turns did you think were like the most swingy ones in that one, Necra?
So the biggest swinging turn that I saw was definitely turn 4. So Nordavin had this play set up where they held the coin for the clear, because you could have used it earlier on. There were many instances where you could have coined out other minions, widened your board, and just gotten some more momentum. But holding on to it and having that patience allowed for Nordavin to be able to set up this intense clear against Ence's Hybrid Hunter, where you procced that snake trap. You got all of his minions out, and then you just eliminated them all with the coin and the pyromancer on board.
Yeah, so a pretty stark contrast. So like, let's maybe talk about game 2 as well as game 1. So what were the major difference? Because obviously it was the same matchup we saw, just navigated by different sides and with more or less the exact same deck list. So Ron, what was like the big difference between game 1 and game 2 in terms of the hunter hand, potentially what like made a difference in that one? Ron.
My apologies, my mic was muted still there. So in game 1, Ents just didn't get anything off of that. No early minion draw for the most part, no secrets, just nothing really to go into. Whereas Nordavin there, they got Dire Mole into Crackling Razor Maw. They had secrets, Spellstone came along. I mean, just everything that you really, Master's Call was in hand. Everything that as a secret hunter, you really want to be able to push face damage quickly. They had it in hand. So I think that was the biggest difference we saw between the 2 games.
And also, I feel like when we took a look at the turn 5 is a turn that I think was very interesting, and I feel like the cats have briefly touched on it. But Necra, just to run it back for the people who may have been joining a little bit late. Like, what was so important about turn 5?
For the game 3 match?
Yeah, for game 2. Game 2.
Oh, for game 2, yeah. So you just didn't have spring pause. So like, very interesting choice there by Nordavin, to you just didn't have spring pause in hand. You had a flanking strike to be able to utilize. It just wasn't as strong of a card turn. But you made it work and you ended up taking it. Turn 6 is just a big swing turn for this matchup, because it comes down to whether or not you get Rexar, whether or not you do have Spike Ridge Steed in your hand. And we saw that it was a big shifting point, because it looked like, for the most part, Ents was in the driver's seat, that the even paladin was going to avail yet again against the hybrid hunter. But nope, Nordavin said absolutely not. I'm going to still take this one.
Yeah, and also the last one that I really think was very, very key for that matchup as well was the big massive turnaround turn where they had to play around all the defense matrix, and I don't think there was a whole lot of different things. Like, that was just a pretty well thought out, like well played turn, because even for a board clear that we saw with the Avenging Wrath and Equality, that was that Rex started to just follow back up and get them out of their range, even though the Paladin almost got there in the end with that True Silver. So in game 3, Run, talk me through what went wrong for Ents in that one, because they went first, everything was looking all so well, and then the mulligan happens. What went wrong there?
That mulligan was harsh for sure. I mean, you just don't, if you don't get what you need to get rolling against another odd rogue, then you're stuck spinning your wheels. You're behind in the board. And that's exactly what happened. They couldn't play much. They had to, utilize tools to clear the board off and not be able to really build their own. And that's just a really rough place to be as an odd rogue in a odd rogue mirror.
Yeah,
Let
and,
me
and
follow. Let
also,
me touch
yeah,
on something about that too, just to follow up really quick, because I think that Rabobson and Green Sheep touched on this, but Ents was in a good position to be able to take that game. He went first. He had he should have been able to be in the driver's seat for that. But let's talk about the tech as well. On turn 5, we actually saw the differences in some of the tech. So like just to reiterate, Nordovind was running Captain Greenskin, and then Ents was running Chief Inspector and Edwin Van Cleef. Edwin Van Cleef was able to get on the board and was buffed, but look at how quickly it got taken out. So it just like in that odd rogue matchup, you really do want to see Captain Greenskin and had those tech cards in there for the other decks in the lineup, not for this matchup.
also something very important to know about those takes is the fact that no Argent Squires for Ents neither, right? So,
Yeah.
and then we were going over it and we were talking about the spots. That Edwin Van Cleef and a second Crystallizer would have been 2 Argent Squires, which would have been an interesting way. Like they would have been able to help him get back on board a little bit. And then also there was like that one turn where the game kind of took a different route as well. Like the turn where they kept like where Nordawind kept their Vilespine out on the Tar Creeper with 4 HP, but they had the option to Deadly Poison. Just try to talk me through like if that turn was important or not for the game's overall outcome.
Yes, I believe it was a big deal. Being able to, instead of using your deadly poison there to just clear, being able to actually put a minion down on the board, it allows you to control the board, it allows you to push face damage, and hold that maybe deadly poison for something else that comes out, like the Edwin came out the very next turn, allows you to clear their board yet again and keep the tempo and control of it. It was a huge turning point in that game, I believe.
Yeah, and we'll be done talking about this match really quickly, but we could take a look at the standings really quickly so you guys get an overview of some of the teams that are in fact included in this event. And on the standings, you can also find them by going !bracket in the chat. You will obviously be looking at some of the results from the first round. So far, obviously, with this being a Quake 3-0, there might not be that many results. So far, we can see Gamers Origin taking down Swagoi Gaming 3-1, and Gamers Origin one of the stronger teams going into this. I don't know if you have a set favorite team overall for this entire event. Necro, like who's your overall favorite team to take the entire event? Obviously, we have a lot of strong teams there.
Ooh, I mean, I don't want to be biased, but I do have a lot of friends that are part of Swagoi Gaming. So I'm excited to see them play. I can't say whether or not they're going to take the whole thing, but there's a lot of strong Hearthstone players here, so I don't want to be too biased.
And Run, maybe I mean you can be biased. Run, who do you think can
Man, like if we're going off of bias, Sugoi has got my friendship, and I know a lot of them, so I would love to see them do really really well. I mean,
go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say probably Nordavind was probably one of my top runners, though. If we're just looking at sheer player stats.
so if you're not like if it's not like all My Little Pony friends with Magic, then you're saying Nordawind because that is the better team overall. And I think like personally for me, I am looking very forward to watching Nordawind as well. I have a lot of friends in the team, and I overall like both friendship wise and just overall just strong player wise, I think that they are their main favorites in this format. I'm looking forward to watching Eminem a little bit more as well. Very strong British team with Toastmaster and Mysterious,
Yep.
Big Ben as well. Big players that have performed well at big events. And
you've got Big Ben, I believe, on Eminem, and you've got Toastmonster, and I'm drawing a blank on their third player. Not looking
Mysterious.
at the
roster. So you have like UK champions. You have UK champions. You have DreamHack winners, and that team is super stacked roster.
Yeah, that's a super stacked roster.
Used to playing these like round robin Swiss style formats where they know their opponents and open deck and stuff. So I don't know if there's anything else you really want to talk about. I mean, so let's just run through the teams really quick. So we have Royal Blue Esports and M&M. That's the first round matchup for them. No results in that one just yet. Epic Esports and Helsinki Reds, a team that I have used to manage one of their players, actually, Janetsky, back in the day. Gamers Origin and Swagoi, obviously 3-1 to Gamers Origin, as you just saw. Oslo Lions in Sector 1. I have a good friend in Oslo Lions as well, in Alex Now, was one of my best friends, actually. Good play again, top 4 HTC Oslo, Copenhagen Games winner. A lot of good things. New Dynasty as well, a team that's managed by one of our co-casters, actually, Livian, who will be joining us in potentially next week as well. And Shepherd Fox, this Greek team with a lot of interesting names on it, that obviously Nordavind and Ents. So The top so some of the top talent in European Hearthstone is represented here at House Rivalries. But we'll be going over to a short break here as we're trying to figure out what the second round or what the second match of the night is going to be. So keep on in chat and just if you just check the bracket, follow the teams, follow us on Twitter. Do a good thing. Go donate to the GoFundMe. Right now, here's a break. Hello everybody, and welcome back to House Rivalries Season 1 EU Edition. We just got done with the round 1 of Swiss, and if we get that on the screen really quickly, we can just run down the results for you super fast here at the... And we can see here, as round 1, Royal Blue, Takedown, M11 Gaming 3-1, which I believe we just managed to catch the last back end off on stream. Epic Esports lost to Helsinki Reds 1-3. Gamers Order took down to Begajinu. Osolion lost to Sector 1, 3-2. New Dynasty lost to Interpreted Fox. And Norbin obviously aced at Act M's. So for this series we're coming up right now, we have in the blue corner we have Royal Blue Esports, and in the red corner we have Helsinki Reds. So talk me a little bit through about talk to me about these two teams, like Green Sheep. Who are the standout players on both rosters?
So personally, I don't know that much about Royal Blue Esports. The only name I really know from the roster is Borrow. You may have known him from his recent DreamHack win in DreamHack Jönköping. I actually never heard of him before, but he's a German player, much like his team. On his team, there's Chabo Dennis, who's also a German player and Austrian. But I think Borrow's the name you have to look out for. Probably the most well-known out of all the names. Like, off his DreamHack win, he's also doing really well in the Battle Ref ladder that's been going on the past month. And he's one of the up-and-comers in...
Yeah, no, obviously. Go ahead.
Whereas Helsinki Reds, the three names on this roster are very known in the Finnish community. You have Zump, Vardo, and Yanetsky. All three players are insane at the game. They're very big names. Like, if you're following competitive Hearthstone, you must know these names. Zump, multiple top 4 DreamHack finishes, also won a DreamHack. Vardo also does really well in tour stops, and Yanetsky as well. They all consistently make playoffs, I think, for the past 3-4 years. Like, every single playoffs I've been to, they've been there as well. Although they might not have had like the most impressive achievements in the championships and such, they do really well in the HCT circuit, and they're one of the teams, I'd say, who are favorites to win this the whole House Rivalries tournament.
Yeah, and I find you're mentioning that as well, the fact that, you know, the Finnish Hearthstone scene, it's just like one big practice group, which is really interesting. So these types of events where they have to prepare for, like, quote unquote pocket metas, I think that's like really good for them. Also, I have a little bit of a funny story with Janetsky. I've used to manage Janetsky for 1.5 years on 2 of his old teams, so actually 3 of his old teams, way back in the day, and a name that I've known for a while, obviously, due to that. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be really fun. So Green Sheep, obviously, you've previously been on the HGG team for the United Kingdom. Like, how different is it to play with 2 or 3 people talking to you while you have to make the plays compared to just playing a playoffs or a regular DreamHack or something? Like, what changes here?
I think it's all about synergy. If you have good synergy with your teammates, then it makes it a lot easier. For example, I know, for example, the Swedish team last year, which had Oskaka, Powder, and Orange, I don't think they worked that well because Oskaka is one of those players where he really prefers to think on his own, and because other people would just distract him. It's not like the people are bad. His teammates, obviously, they're not bad. They were like Orange and Powder. They were very good players, but I think it's the type of person you are. It really depends. But as for me, in the UK HGG, Ball Control, very analytical player. Toastmaster, very vocal. So they were the main directors of the team, basically. They basically went through plays. Whereas me, I just basically, I took all the information in. I pointed out specific cards they might have had in hand, pointed out tech cards. That was my job. And Jackie, which was similar to me, if we had anything really important to say, we'd say it. Otherwise, the other 2 would basically talk and decide for the plays, and then at the end, we'd all agree if we would to take a play. And I'd expect Helsinki Reds to be similar, because all 3 of the players, if I'm not wrong, were on the HGG team.
I'm pretty sure they were.
I know Zump was for sure. But on the other hand, I'm not sure about Royal Blue Esports. As I said before, I don't have that much information on them. I know Borrow's quite a good player, as are the other 2, I imagine. So And they're all German. I guess there's one Austrian. So they basically speaking the same language is also very important. So sometimes you have these mixed teams, international teams, whereas English may not be your first language, so that might make it a bit harder. But communication is definitely the key point.
Yeah, and also, so let's just go. Let's take a look at the decks and the lineups. So I'm just gonna run through the lineup really quickly for Helsinki Reds. It's like pretty much the exact same lineup with a few cards different than we saw in the first series of the day. So no, it's a Spell Hunter, not a Super Hunter. It's a Spell Hunter, Even Paladin, Art Rogue, and the Mind Blast Priest. And then we have for Royal Blue, we have Jade Druid. I've been playing too much Wild recently. It's a Malagas Druid, sorry, with a Kelisif in there. We can talk about that a little bit later. The Spell Hunt, the Secret Hunter that we just saw in the previous series, and the Even Paladin and the Art Rogue. So, what are the key things? I don't think we're the bans in just yet. So, talk to me a little bit about like what does these two lineups do against each other? Like, what is the strong points? What's the weak points for Bobson? Please.
Yeah, so like what we've seen through the first series of the day as well as this one right now is kind of just the people going for the aggressive strategy at least one last time until the nerfs hit in a few days. But there's just a kind of a bit of a hole in these aggressive strategies, which is the sort of fourth deck. So we're seeing the Odd Rogue and the Even Paladin consistently being brought. Then we've seen 3 Secret Hunters and 1 Spell Hunter, with the Spell Hunter from Helsinki Reds. I'm not 100% sure about the inclusion of Spell Hunter over a Secret or mid-range Hunter there. It seems like it doesn't 100% go with the overall strategy, and the idea is probably just to beat the counter lineups, to beat the mirrors even. So if they come into someone who's playing against Even Paladin, Odd Rogue, Secret Hunter, this Spell Hunter will give them a little bit of an edge, is probably their thinking. And then you have this weird fourth deck problem that everyone comes into. We've seen 3 priests go into the sort of fourth deck slot as just a sort of, it's an aggressive control deck, basically. So because there's really not very many aggro options, like even Shaman's a bit questionable, and aggro mage is just not really a deck. So you need something else which is kind of good at going face and can still beat up on these OTK combo decks. But what Royal Blue have done for their fourth deck is something that I think we should talk about, as it is Malagos Druid. But not only is it just Malagos Druid, but this is Malagos Druid with Keliseth in it.
Yeah, that seems weird to me. So why, so I have been seeing a lot of Malagos Druid being played recently. Obviously, Freddie B took top 16 with it at playoffs. I went to a local LAN recently where I was like Fury Hunter and Alex now was playing it as well. Where why include the Kelisif when there are like 5 minions in the deck over the enemy? Because to me it seems like it can make the floors too inconsistent. It could do a lot of other things. Like, what does it even do? What does it add to the deck, Green Chip? Like, what's the point?
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Kelisef. I'm not really quite sure what it's doing there. As you said, the minions are basically the combo pieces of your deck, right? The Malagos, the Alexstrasza, the Florist. I guess the Tyrants and the Ziliacs are the only real minions that you want to hit with the Kelisef. And of course, if you hit those, it's pretty good. But the other 3 minions, if you get the +1/+1, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, they're not there to kill your opponent. They're there to be the combo pieces, to end the game with your Moonfires and your swipes. But then again, I can kind of see some logic behind it, because since Wildgrove recently got nerfed, it's been a while now, been nerfed to 3 mana, you don't have any card on the 2 mana slot, so maybe they're thinking, we don't play any 2 mana cards anyway, so why don't we just put the Kelisef in? And it also gives us a play on turn 2 instead of Hero Power passing, which sometimes it's a good payoff, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't think it's just like one of those flex spots where like people may not be completely in agreement with what's the best card in those slots, and so talking to me a little bit about what the ban look like, because I'm thinking maybe the priest goes out the way because they want their aggro decks to be better, or like what are we saying here?
I think the priest definitely goes out of the way from Helsinki Reds, and then I'm not sure what you ban on the opposite side, because I think you want to kind of leave up the druid because I think you expect maybe the priest ban, and then the paladin's pretty good against the druid, I expect, and the hunter should be okay. I wouldn't say it's insane, and then the rogue, it's pretty bad normally against the druid.
I think the
So
ban
maybe
is
they
actually
even ban the druid, but if they ban the druid, basically it's a mirrored lineup.
Rebobson, you were having a point about the bans you want to bring up?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have gone for the Druid ban, as Spell Hunt is pretty bad against Druid, Rogue's pretty bad against Druid, and the Priest is also pretty bad against Druid. They only really have the good matchup with the Paladin, but I think we did just get the bans in, and it's been a double Paladin ban.
So totally not what we were talking about at all. And maybe that these players, they know their lineups well. They've been talking them for discussion and they've built them themselves. They know what the weaknesses are, where we're just looking at 120 cards on our screen and making an assumption, right? So they have something against. They're scared of Even Paladin, obviously, is a deck that is super, super strong at the moment. I was looking recently at HS Replay for the meta stats, and it's like the second best deck across the entire game. Obviously, will be toned down with the nerfs of quality coming up in, well, next week as well. So interesting to see that this might just be the last few showings of Even Paladin we will see competitively, maybe ever. So I want to see how it's just how strong it is, because Even Paladin is a deck, right? Like overall, I don't know too much thing to talk about in the decks because the decks are rather standard. So like to talk to you about Even Paladin quickly, because I could quote Fury Hunter, but it wouldn't be allowed in a broadcast about his opinion about how bad Even Paladin is. So do you think it's a good or a bad deck?
I think it's a very good deck.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, as an aggro player, it's one of the only semi-aggro decks. I wouldn't even call it, like in the old days, I wouldn't call this an aggro deck. What is it? It's like a tempo deck, but it's what we have left. So I think it's a good deck.
Cries an Arcane Golem and Argent Horse Rider. Yeah, that is
how far we've fallen. Look at this Paladin list. We're running 8 jobs in our aggro.
That's we don't like that, but I think it's a deck that is very versatile, right? Because it can have those very, very, very aggressive openers, but it can also play the control or like play for the longer games. And I think that's like one of the reasons why it's so flexible, that it's just a deck that is, well, if you don't like have a really favorite matchup into it, it's just a deck that is so good overall as a deck that in Conquest, where it just has to win once, it's a deck that can be really scary because it can high roll a matchup that you wanted to win or something like that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah,
obviously, go ahead.
As Even Paladin, just to point out, there's really nothing you hate to play against. Like even in the bad matchups, it has definitely the high roll percentage to win, because you have to run the cards like Corpse Taker. Card's just insane. You buff that up and you can win the game on turn 4, turn 5.
Well, to be fair, your UK compatriot guys Board Control has been running Corpse Taker in pretty much every deck that doesn't
yeah.
backer recently.
Big fan of that card.
I mean, it's interesting. And one of the cards that will rotate in the next few months as well. So I'm interested to see how the meta shapes up after that. But I'm not sure how far we are from getting into a game really quick. Is there anything about these decks outside the Jade thing that stands out to you?
I mean, I just want to say that how Royal Blue have King Mukla in the Odd Rogue, and I love seeing King Mukla in Odd Rogue at pretty much any point. I think the card's so good in the deck.
Yeah, it's bananas.
I think I think I said it best that you get to hear cool monkey noises while putting bananas into your opponent's hand and overdrawing their combo pieces. I like Mukla a lot. It's a fun card to play, and it's a card that I think that actually has a little bit of a skill into it when you play it, right? Because it's just not always a turn free play, because especially like in aggressive mirrors, you have to figure out and do the maths as to when these bananas actually become important for your opponent, when you can afford to just jam down this 5/5, correct? Or am I just making stuff up here?
Yeah, definitely. It's also really good against even. I know who's a big fan of King Mukla, Purple and Gallon. Gallon, who's also playing in House Rivalries on the Gamer's Origin. They are big fans of Mukla. Once, I think it was HCT Montreal, they had King Mukla in every single one of the decks. In Druid, in Rogue, in Hunter. I can't remember the last deck, but they had.
I mean, I'd make it to champs with Mukla and Odd Warrior, right? Like in Odd Warrior, like the most resident sleeper deck in the game, right?
Dude, Purple's just one of those guys. You know, just comes up crazy stuff. He brings everyone to his way of thinking as well. I didn't think Gallon's pretty crazy as well, but King Mukla in every single deck, that was kind of bonkers. But back to game at hand. So Royal Blue versus Helsinki Reds. I think I'm quite surprised with the bans. The Paladin both banned out, but just looking at the 3 remaining decks, there's the Priest, the Rogue, the Hunter against the Druid, the Paladin, the Druid, the Hunter, and the Rogue. I think I favor the lineup with the Druid because Druid's very good against the Priest. It's also very good against Rogue, and
against Spell Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Druid is gonna have quite an easy time, whereas the Rogue on Royal Blue side actually has a chance against the Priest. Whereas if they ban the Priest, then the Paladin would take it out pretty easily.
Yeah, I still think that's going to be interesting. I think that it's just one of those lands where, especially in Conquest, where there's like you kind of like want to get us like do it like so. Talk me a little bit through the difference between Conquest and Last Hero Standing when you're banning. I know it's a very deep topic and a topic that is very, very opinionated, and people, they hate Conquest, they like Last Hero Standing, they love the queue orders, they like not going to random.com or random.org rather than putting 1, 2, 4 into lineups and stuff. Like how important is it to have like, let's say, an overall solid field, especially like just a few polarized matchups in Conquest?
There's a lot of strategy in both formats, of course. Like some of the, I guess when you build a lineup in Conquest, sometimes you just go for all 4 strong decks. You try for the targeting strategy. Those are the 2 main strategies. Targeting, I don't like that much. I most prefer the 4 strong decks because if you try and target a deck, sometimes that deck just wins. Like, it's statistically unlikely you 3-0 a deck. Unless you like the matchup's literally like 90-10 on all 3 or like 80-20, but those matchups don't exist anymore since Freeze Mage is not available.
Freeze Mages, yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, Freeze Mage Warrior, that was the 90-20, the 90-10, I mean. Those don't exist anymore, so.
The only way to win that matchup, like good old controller, was to literally like kill their Deathlord and pull their Justicar out and just have Alex on 9 into Mind Blast Fire. Like,
yeah, it was like Emperor Thorason into Antonidas into like a load of fireballs and pray.
Those were the good days, man. I love that. Come back, Josie, we need you.
Now you have like Odd Warrior versus Odd Rogue for that kind of matchup where you're just like, okay, guess I lose.
Yeah,
I mean,
to be honest, I win that matchup quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
it's surprising.
Squire Coldblood, and you just smack them in the face.
Like, and sometimes they just run out of stuff. Like you play down a Hedgehog fuck and they just have to like flurry it or blade whatever it's called.
But then your forward Squire is still on the board because it has the Mind Shield. I was like, well, here we go again, right? Like it's.
Sometimes they don't have the removal cards. That's how aggro wins. That's why I like aggro. Like sometimes they don't have the removal.
Sometimes they don't have one of the 25 different AoEs Blizzard printed for priests. And then you
as
win.
The aggressor, it's just fun, you know? It's like, okay, do you have it? Nope, I win. If you do, I lose.
That was the story of when I recently played Green Ship on ladder on Wild.
Oh yeah, we did.
A good old Wild, you know, bans everywhere, even Shaman, Kingsbane Rogue. And apparently make a Foon Warlock, because that's apparently really good in the Wild these days.
Apparently that was really good.
They make Foon and everything. That's Hearthstone now.
So I think that's pretty interesting, right? Is that when we see that, obviously I've only seen the decks for 4 teams now. I haven't had the chance to look at every deck for every team. Obviously this is open deck list, so the teams will know the cards they're playing against. So like what we're saying right now is obviously free information, and they probably have a lot better reads because they are talking they're talking 3 people that know the one lineup, so don't have to discuss the second one, right? But like I've noticed that these are pretty aggressive lineups with not a whole lot of like control, like combo. Like we're not seeing the Holy Wrath Paladins, we're not seeing the Mecha Foon Warlock, we're not seeing the Hakar Druid. Why is that? Are those decks just harder to navigate when you're set 3 people discussing the plays, or what?
I just think the aggressive lineups
are the strongest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Because like right now you basically just have the choice of control's not really viable, because if you did come up against these sort of anti-control OTK decks, you would just automatically lose, and that just feels bad. So you've got a choice between either bringing the anti-control or just bringing the aggressive strategies. If you bring the anti-control, then you either come up against the aggressive strategies where you're unfavored a lot of the time, or you're in mirrors. And if you bring the aggressive strategies, you're either in a mirror or you're favored. So it makes a lot of sense for people to just bring aggro.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so everyone's going to bring Hunter, and then Paladin's quite decent against Hunter. It's not awful, obviously. Like, we've seen the matchup played 2 times. It's went both ways, actually. So
yeah.
So if everyone's bringing Hunter, then Paladin's pretty much need to bring that deck. Rogue, it's pretty good against a lot of decks. I mean, I'm pretty biased, to be honest, but
I mean,
like
sure.
Rogue.
So disclaimer as well. I pretty much only play aggro, so I'm in your camp as well, Sheep. I don't know if Repops is one of those filthy control players, but aggro is always the way to go from a completely biased point of view. So let's rotate Plague into Fallout already. Let me play Sue and hit people in the face. Just make it happen, Blizzard, please.
Soon.
Soon, TM. So guys, obviously, Royal Blue Esports is Helsinki Red. Maybe you just come in now because there's been an intermission. You're just checking back with us. So Royal Blue Esports versus Helsinki Reds. Who's going to take it? And I also want a score prediction just because scores are fun. So who's going to take it?
All right, I'll go first then. So, although I've been hyping up Helsinki Reds a lot, looking at the bans and the lineups, I really do think Royal Blue has quite a big edge, even with the Muckler, even with the Kalaseth. I feel like Royal Blue could take it 3-1.
All right, Robson, you're up.
I'm going to be completely unoriginal and just agree with what she just said. I was going to say 3-1 to Royal Blue as well. I think the Druid has it.
I'm gonna be like I'm gonna say I want a 3-2 and I want it in favor of Helsinki Reds, just because I used to manage Janetsky and Vadu is cool and he follows me on Twitter. Just like you should follow us all on Twitter, which you can find by going !casters. And obviously we will throw it to the casters. It's Run and Necro. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Wita. I'm so excited to be here with Run.
Yes.
Now switching over from the analyst desk to the casting booth. I gotta ask you, Run. They mentioned something about Royal Blue being able to take the series even with that interesting Kalaseth druid that we were looking at just a little bit prior to this. So what are your thoughts on that deck?
Initially, looking at the stats and looking at it, I was like, this is just a terrible bring. Why did they bring this? My thoughts were going everywhere. After kind of looking at what their strats could be, what they were kind of targeting, things like that, I'm excited to see if this Malygos actually works out. I think that they wanted to leave up the Hunter and they wanted to target that. And, looking at some of their other techs, I think that's probably why we're seeing this Druid today.
I mean, I'm excited that we're just seeing a Druid at all. Even after the nerfs came out a couple of months ago, it just felt like Druid died. And we've seen mostly
it was a sad death.
Paladin, Hunter, Priest, and we just haven't seen any Druid. So it's just really exciting to be able to see this. And maybe Royal Blue's going to pull a fast one on us.
It's a very interesting inclusion. So this game will be very exciting to find out if this Malygos can take the cake. I have my doubts, but Royal Blue might just prove me wrong.
Well, hopefully we'll be getting into games soon because we want to be able to see whether or not this druid actually ends up seeing any play at all. But Run, when we're looking at the deck lists, like I'm sure the analysts talked about this a little bit, but I'm really excited to see this odd rogue matchup because when we were talking about it before, King Mukla is a very interesting inclusion into the deck, and I'm just so interested to see how that would play out.
Yeah, King Mukla is a very good body early. Getting a 5/5 on the board, it's hard to deal with. And it does look like they bring the Druid very first. So excited to see this.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So we're actually going to be able to get into game now and be able to see all of this action. So it looks like it's going to be a druid versus let's see. Well, a hunter.
Hunter, yes.
A hunter. So we are going to see Spell Hunter hitting the floor, and this is what you were talking about, though, Run. It looks like the Mali Druid was being brought to target that hunter. So talk me through that a little bit.
I mean, this matchup, if I the stats were correct that I was looking at on HS Replay, it looks like it's almost a 60-40. And the Spell Hunter is even a little bit slower than we see with some of the other hunters, the mid-range, the secret. So it doesn't necessarily get on board as fast as the others, which can give that druid time to armor out, to kind of build their own boards. So this should be a fairly toss-up match, you know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying about that because even looking at not even just looking at Janetsky's hand, which we see that there's, you just gotta start getting that curve out there. But Spellhunter in general really doesn't start to see a whole lot of value until the mid to late game, and that's when the Malagos Druid really shines. When you are able to get that
Mhm.
card draw, you are able to build that armor, and Burrow's already in a pretty good position here. You've got the Jasper Spellstone that you be able to buff up as you get that armor on board, and branching paths already in hand, and that Keleseth pickup.
Pickup, huge.
Holy cow.
Yeah, huge pickup. Now this is the Keleseth I felt like was an interesting inclusion just because it's not a huge minion based deck for the Malagos. That's not your like initial plan. So I thought this was a very interesting inclusion here to go ahead and buff what is in there. But the thing we do know about Spell Hunter is that once it gets rolling, it really starts to put a ton of pressure on you. And I mean, there's not a whole lot of ways for this hunter to deal with that spreading plague that could be in hand. So, maybe that's the out here, Nekra.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about what Janetsky just rolled on the animal companion. That's really not what you want to see if you're Janetsky.
No, getting that 4/4 there would have been a really nice pickup. Not a great way to clear that unless he had the spellstone in his hand, which we can see he had it. And that's not a great target for that spellstone. So that was an unfortunate roll with that heifer. We do see Rat Trap going out here. That's very likely to go off here in game. Druid tends to play a lot of small cards, or your Arcane Tyrants as well.
Yeah, so we'll see when, I guess we should say, that Rat Trap will get popped. But we're going to go ahead and see Burrow utilize the branching paths, just starting to get an enormous amount of card draw, already pulling part of the piece of the puzzle into hand with that Moonfire. And Ferocious Howl is going to pair really nicely with that Spellstone. So it's good that we saw Burrow be a little patient there with that. Gonna get rewarded with that Ferocious Howl.
That is an extremely weak turn 5 when all you can do is hero power pass.
Yeah.
But that Unleash the Hounds is probably not going to get too much use out of here until we see a Spreading Plague. We see 2 Ferocious Howls. It really, this Malagos Druid's got all the time in the world at this point to just continue collecting its combo pieces.
Yeah, and now though we're gonna see Janetsky moving into some really big turns here. To my side, an amazing value card. Actually going to use Huffer to just start pumping damage at the face.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I like that confidence that we're seeing from Janetsky, because now you really make Burrow respond. So you, as Janetsky, are setting the pace of the match rather than being on the response, because we know how difficult that can be, being in that position for Hearthstone.
Yes, and especially with a druid deck that can armor up for 10 15 armor in one turn. You've got to respect that, and I think you have to send everything face here, not worrying so much about your life total as opposed to just doing as much. And see, we just saw 10 armor come up, so I think he's respecting the armor gain, or they're respecting the armor gain and pushing as much damage face as they can.
Yeah, and you could even see potentially 19 armor going out because you've got another Ferocious Howl. But going to end up utilizing that Jasper Spellstone that they were holding on to for so long, and now your Arcane Tyrant's really sticky. So I know it doesn't feel great to utilize one of those buffed Spellstones to deal with a minion with 2 health, but I think this is probably the best decision that Burrow could have made here.
We do see Rexar coming into hand. Now, I don't know that that's the best pickup that you could possibly get here. Rexar, you really don't want to use Rexar, before you used Master or Zul'jin there. Jeez.
Yeah.
So there could have been a lot better pickups. Maybe the second To My Side, or something that gives him a little bit more oomph on the board here. his hand just feels a little bit underwhelming when all of your burst spells are in there, your hunter's mark, but no way to clear it. This isn't where you want to be sitting if you're on Janetsky's side.
No. I mean, Janetsky just looks like he doesn't have a whole lot of momentum to build up. I mean, we do have Zul'jin in hand already, so you will be able to utilize that, but you haven't used too many spells yet. We had that dead turn 5, and that's just, wasted ammo for Janetsky.
Right. But Janetsky decides that this is the moment to try to build some value with that Rexar hero power. And, I can't say I blame him. You pick up a couple charge minions, some Wind Fury. There's a lot of really good stuff there. Maybe pick up some armor gain as well. So, I'm not against that play at all. We see Burrow there reaching for Malfurion. Definitely a good time for that. Put some minions on the board and gain some more armor.
I mean, that's the name of the game, though. That's when it comes down to Death Knights. You play your Death Knights when you can, because that additional hero power that you get is just so strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I do respect the decision that Janetsky made to start building some of those zombies. And you've got Zul'jin for later, so if you are in a little bit of dire straits, you can always use the Zul'jin later. But something that Janetsky's been having some trouble with is just generating a board presence.
Mm-hmm.
So now you really can be able to do that with that hero power.
Yes, and we see, we can see that Burrow's kind of hovering over those naturalizes. Maybe they're talking about, if something comes out, if they want to use those at this point. There's a lot of stuff. Not a great pick here with this last set of minions. A lot of poison, some lifesteal. Not necessarily what you want to pick up here in this situation. I don't think. Necro, what do you think?
No, but I could see the poison having some utility here, especially against those pesky scarabs. Yeah, they can be really difficult to deal with. I know we talked about UTH potentially coming on board when you do have those scarabs coming out, either from the Death Knight or from the Spreading Plague, but they're only 1/1 minions. How do you really deal with that? You don't really want to use your kill commands, because you have to deal with all of the armor that Burrow has already gained.
Yes.
You saw Janetsky do so much work to face. It's already gone. It's already mitigated.
Yeah, they're already at 31 health or 34 health there. Oh, and go up
and
even
another 10.
higher. So I spoke a little too soon there, because now they're along with the hero power, or I'm sorry, not the hero power, along with the armor, it's 44 there, and he gets the 6/6 off, but it's naturalized.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Burrow, you don't feel too badly about utilizing a naturalize here. Now you've got Janetsky in a little bit of an interesting situation. You got 10 cards in hand. Gonna have to utilize a lot here, or Janetsky's about to get punished by a second naturalize. Because I don't think you really, I guess you can't actually take it out. You can't take out that bear shark, but there's other minions that Janetsky has in hand that might get rolled that you really would like to be able to take out, and you might even get to burn some cards.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good possibility. But we do see that, Janetsky's actually starting to get some things in hand that can maybe help swing this board back in favor. He's got some, Unleash the Hounds. He's got a spell. He's got a Hunter's Mark in hand. So maybe he can switch this board around and actually start pushing damage to face next turn. Zul'jin, maybe not the best just yet, but it's definitely can change the board presence. Oh, but we see him reach for the kill command now. Very interesting.
Yeah. This is what we're talking about, though. It's like, this doesn't really feel great. Like, this isn't really how you want to utilize the kill commands and the Unleash the Hounds. But at some point, you gotta start doing some damage to be able to mitigate this board.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the decision there to leave the bear shark in stealth?
I think that they know it's going to probably be naturalized as soon as it comes on. Maybe trying to get rid of a Malagos if it comes out. I don't know if I like that here as low as your health total is getting, with lots of damage that can come from an array of places in this deck. So I don't know about that. Oh, we do see the
Ooh.
flame get burned.
Yikes. Yeah, you definitely don't like seeing that. But I mean, at this point, if you're Burrow, you've got lethal.
Mm-hmm.
If Janetsky isn't able to do anything to be able to heal, and you're gonna see rolling the zombies right away, Janetsky is looking for some type of heal. You're looking for something with charge. You are looking for something
Still
that
rush.
has, yeah, lifesteal. Exactly, because Burrow at this point with 8 cards left in the deck probably has the pieces that they need to be able to do this combo. And even if it isn't now, hey, you've got 2 Moonfires, you've got the Malagos, you've got a swipe in hand as well. So
Yes, and Burrow being on Royal Blue here, and Janetsky is also from Helsinki. Just in case that chat didn't know who was who there, just wanted to make sure that we clarified that. So okay, so we see the Hound going there. Some lifesteal feels really good here for uh, uh, help me out here, Necra. I'm getting tongue tied.
oh yeah, Helsinki. The
Helsinki.
lifesteal feels good for Helsinki or Janetsky that we've been saying so far. Apologies about that. Had no idea you guys couldn't see the player names. But Helsinki now just does feel very good about the lifesteal that they got because now they're out of lethal range. So Royal Blue though still in a very good position. You just saw the Flabidness Floop being burned. You did see Ziliax being burned. 2 pretty high value cards in this deck, but you
Mm-hmm.
have all the pieces run.
Yeah, you have the pieces, and that's the thing. But having this hunter being at where it's at, if man, Royal Blue does not get on this and do it quickly, this game could turn back around.
Oh yeah, it really could, but look at that. Going to utilize the Naturalize to get rid of the lifesteal. That's going to force Janetsky to re-roll, hopefully figure out another lifesteal rush minion that pops up because I was incredibly lucky on that last turn. Had they not been able to get that, this would have been game over. But
Yes.
still looking at not being able to do enough damage to Royal Blue to really start to put pressure on them. Royal Blue's still feeling really good about where they are right now.
Yeah. And I think that they're almost either at or exceeding next turn lethal here if they throw Malagos. If there's no lifesteal rush here, being able to throw that Malagos down, use both Moonfires and swipe. If I'm not mistaken, that should be lethal.
Oh yeah. It absolutely will. I mean, even if you can't deal with the Stream Petal Florist, but Janetsky's on Helsinki is looking for whatever they absolutely can to be able to stall out some of this pressure and just get some damage onto Royal Blue. But this is gonna be really rough here. This is game over.
That is GG's there. Or Royal Blue.
Yep, that it will be the first win of this match series going to Royal Blue, but it's not over yet. Now, Royal Blue can't play that Malagos Druid, and that was a little bit of a surprise. Even though this is open deck list, you do know that Royal Blue is running this deck, so you can kind of prepare for it. It's still amazing to be able to see that Druid worked so well here.
Yeah, that Druid did work. As I said, when I first saw it, I thought for sure that was going to be a liability. Turns out it was a very good bring on Royal Blue's part. So excellent job to Royal Blue. If you're in Royal Blue's position, what are you going to queue up now, knowing that they have the Spell Hunter, they have the Odd Rogue, they have the Control Priest left? What do you go to as your go-to deck?
I mean, I might just roll with the Hybrid Hunter now. Hybrid Hunter does have a pretty good matchup against the Spell Hunter. So may as well keep going with things that you think are going to be strong. But I gotta say, Royal Blue got really lucky with the matchup that they saw, because you said it right before we even started that Malgus Druid is looking for Hunter blood, and that's exactly what it found.
Pretty true.
So
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, the other matchups weren't as were a lot more polarized, and
yeah.
so that was like I like it. I think that they got lucky a little bit on the roll there, but they played it well. They knew what they were looking for, and I think they did a great job on this lineup so far.
Ooh, we're gonna see total swap ups from everybody now. So it's actually going to be Royal Blue going with the Odd Rogue, and Helsinki going with the Control Priest.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
This matchup can be a bit rough on the odd rogue if they don't get the priest does not get the cards that they need to clear board. It can just be over like that. However, with Dustbreaker out there, especially being on the coin, it's hard to continue to build board after board. They've got the Cabal Shadow Priest to kind of deal with that. They can throw down a Twilight to be able to contest the board. So it can be a rough matchup here. It just all depends on the draw, I believe.
Yeah, and so we're going to be looking at these two players considering their mulligans right now, and they're taking their time because they understand that this can be a very swingy matchup. I think that Janetsky definitely didn't want to see Psychic Scream right away. You want to be able to see that Desk Breaker early on, but hopefully they'll be able to roll into it. And then on the side of Burrow, having that Henchclang Thug out early, that's nice.
Yeah, and unfortunately here, that's not the best roll on a one drop for
No.
this Alcyon. There's not a whole lot that can contest it other than a Northshire Cleric in the opening. So, I mean, you're probably not losing any value off of it, but not the one drop you really want to see here to start out.
Ooh, and then the second Psychic Scream coming into hand for Janetsky. Yikes.
Yeah, this is going to be a matter of holding on until and stabilizing probably at turn 6 or 7. So, they've got to. Helsinki's got to, be very cautious about their health total. But we can see that there's just not as much going on other than that Henchclan Thug here, because you don't want to get Leroy out too early. You want it to be your final, burst damage. So definitely, Royal Blue wants to get some better looking cards here to get rolling.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the luck of the draw sometimes when it comes to Hearthstone. But you're going to see a couple of new cards entering Janetsky's hand. You've got Holy Fire now, which still, this is just a very late game hand for Janetsky. You don't use Divine Hymn right away, and now Burrow's really starting to get some value here, already buffing the Henchclan Thug, and no answer in sight yet for Janetsky.
No, we do see that he's going to go ahead and coin out this Twilight Drake. It's I think it's a good choice with nothing coming into hand for a while to be able to really probably deal with this Henchclan. So I like that coin there. We finally see some one drops.
Yeah,
hitting for Royal Blue, but this is kind of a menacing board a little bit.
it is a menacing board, and I kind of wonder whether or not Burrow's just or Royal Blue's gonna kind of keep up the pressure a little bit here. Drop another Henchclan Thug, see if you can actually buff the both, and just keep smacking away at face, because as it stands right now, if you're able to get two of them on board and you're able to buff them up, that Twilight Drake's got really nothing on you at the moment, because there really is no way to deal with your board. I mean, then now you can divine him if you really wanted to, and I do think we're gonna see this aggressive pressure come out. I like keeping the Dire Maul in hand just because
you need that token for sure.
Yeah, you just have to
do a trade here.
Good trade. I mean, why not, right? You've got the pressure, but it's about to get punished. Look at that Pyromancer going on board.
That might be the only thing that kind of hurts here about trading. However, I feel like he had to do it because he needed to get that Twilight Drake off the board for this very reason as well. It could clear the board. It would have cleared the board this last turn if it had stayed. So I think that was definitely the right call on Royal Blue's side. Now he's sitting with not the best of turns, but not the worst of turns as either here. I mean, it's turn 5. You'd prefer to have that coin in hand, so you could just coin Bowspine. You could combo as well as get the weapon out. But all in all, this isn't really where you want to be sitting trading off a Wild Pyromancer.
Not really. I mean, but the Wild Pyromancer kind of already got the... Yeah, like the Wild Pyromancer already got the value. It is buffed, so you really don't want that sticking around to be able to deal damage to you. But hey, I mean, may as well leave it alone right now. Get that damage that you might have missed last turn from having to trade into the Twilight Drake, and see if you can just push lethal.
Yeah, I agree. And it's still so early for that Psychic Scream, knowing that it's going to be, 2 turns. Just throw those minions out there and see what you can do as fast as you can. These Divine Hymns, though, they do feel quite bad.
Yeah, that's not how you want to be able to use that, and not even with the Twilight Acolyte just for pressure. You don't even have a that doesn't feel like a good turn if you are Helsinki.
Yeah, I mean it probably doesn't, but it's board presence, and the thing that we're seeing is the exact problem that Odd Rogue has against these control priests is that they just have some early minion pressure that they can use to help clear the board. They have lots of board clears if they can find them. So that's where this Odd Rogue can definitely struggle in this matchup is if they can't get out a good board early and getting that 1-drop, that 2/1 1-drop just wasn't great. Followed up by really not much to do on the turn 3 and turn 5 has really hurt the Odd Rogue in this matchup.
That really has. I mean, that's the interesting part though, is like Odd Rogue really prefers to go first. But at the same time, not having that coin in hand means that you don't really have answers to some of the pressure that Janetsky puts out and about the mid game, because like the Vilespine Slayer is gonna have to wait. Now you're putting out that Dire Maul and you're gonna buff it instead, and now you don't have an activator for the Vilespine. So it just This is what Control Priest does, though.
Control Priest do what Control Priest does, exactly. And really, I mean, just looking at this hand again for Royal Blue, it's just not a great turn 7 hand. I mean, those are usually your power turns, your odd turns, and this whole game for them has just been one blah turn after another, unfortunately. I mean, are you looking at Myra's at this point? They're at 23 health, and burning the rest of your deck just feels disgusting. But using your Vilespine here just to have presence on the board also feels really super bad.
Yeah, but we're not even going to see either of those choices. It's going to be Leroy pushing face right now.
I don't mind that, knowing that you're probably going to have to Myra for the rest of your deck. Might as well throw, some more damage and make him deal with the board as it is right now.
Yeah, unless we see Psychic Scream. I mean, what other answers do you see in Janetsky's hand at this point to be able to deal with the damage that might be coming out from, like, if you do see Myra's?
Yeah, I mean, if you see Myra, I don't think you're as worried about it. If you're Janetsky, because you have that Holy Fire in hand, it's going to heal you back up to 22. You can Psychic Scream. They choose to go ahead and Psychic Scream here. Knowing that they're running out of cards, maybe that's the thought process there. There's lots of things that I think worked there. I don't think I would be in as much of a hurry if I were Team Janetsky. Helsinki, I am so sorry.
The team of Janetsky.
There we go.
Something like that. But yes, it's going to be Myra's element now, and this is the rest of Royal Blue's deck.
Wow.
You only get 1 Cold Blood, so is this enough damage to be able to take this game?
I'm not sure. Knowing that there is some heal, there's some armor, with that shadow visions, there is just, with the ability to find some more damage or some more healing probably there. I don't know that it is, but you still have your South Sea hands, you have your
You've got
deadly
Leroy still.
poisons, and you do have Leroy. So there's a lot of damage left in this deck still. The question is can they heal up fast enough? Oh, and that Drake is such a huge pickup here. It's
Oh
probably the
no.
biggest pickup they'll get. I know Royal Blue would have preferred that to stay in the deck because there's no way
Yeah.
to get through that. Well, the Vile Spine. Oh my goodness, let's not forget about the Vile Spine, Nekra. It is in hand.
That's true.
So-
It is in hand. You have a lot of activators for it. So it's very possible that we might actually see a win condition here for Royal Blue, and that would bring them up 2-0 in this series. But Janetsky is just thinking right now, like, what do I do at this point to be able to bring my team one step closer to being able to move on to the next round. And look at how much thought is going into this move.
Yeah, and they really had to think this turn out, knowing that it's very possible that Leroy Coldblood came into hand, with the ability to deal 19 damage that turn. So that was a very smart call on their part.
Yeah.
And that's still an option. We do see it's at 20, and that may, in fact, nope, not quite lethal there, but very close with Leroy Coldblood South Sea Hand. But 17, they're just 3 shy, so they're gonna go ahead and choose to maybe look other places for some damage. The Vicious Fledgling being a place where if it's not cleared can cause a lot of damage. So I don't mind that at all. Also, I didn't really mind the Baku. If they had no way to clear that would have also, I think, been an excellent play. We do see they go ahead and use the Cold Blood on the Argent Squire. I don't mind that. Don't mind that a bit.
I mean, what can you really do at this point except potentially Psychic Scream it away? But not until that damage has already been done. But this is the last ditch effort from Royal Blue to try to get as much damage as possible on this board.
I like it a lot because they're basically saying you either Psychic Scream this board or I have lethal, and that's really the only way that Helsinki can deal with it. So that was a really smart call on Royal Blue's part to fill that board up.
The thing is as well is like you're now going to be able to stave off 4 turns of burn. So like you aren't going to be as fatigued as potentially you would have been if you were continuously drawing fatigue. But now that burst damage is gone, you really only have Leroy and the South Sea deckhand that went back into the deck. There's no way to buff your dagger. There's no way there's no cold blood anymore.
Yeah.
And now, like, is that enough damage to be able to deal with the healing and the sustain that might come out from this control priest?
Yeah, that's definitely something, they're probably thinking that there's not a lot of pieces to the combo in hand as much as they've seen. So the only thing that they would really be concerned about here is just the Anduin giving them, allowing them to armor out of removal, and they don't. I honestly think Royal Blue doesn't think it's in hand since they haven't seen it, and that's why it comes down. And maybe it is baiting out the Anduin because that's the only way that it deals with it at this point. We don't have a Cabal in hand, so it can trade stats, but then you still have to worry that maybe there's still more burst damage that can kill you in hand. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the heal Anduin go down here.
Yep. And I mean that might be game over if that's the case, because then like Jeanette's the patience coming out from the side of Helsinki does pay off here.
And you can really see how well Royal Blue actually played this here. Just in they thought about, well, what if the Drake is in hand? What if this? What if that? So they did a really good job thinking about how to make that work. And we do see Vicious coming out from the deck there. I think that was probably the best draw that they were going to get off of out of the cards that were left.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, if you're sitting on Royal Blue's side, you're looking at this going, oh, there's just not much left, and the priest always has ways to kill off things and ways to
Heal.
trade, and heal. So, they've got to be super cautious with their resources.
And I mean, at this point, though, what resources do you have left if you are Royal Blue? And
You
like
know?
that's just kind of the sad reality of it is that I don't know if I completely agree with the decision to utilize everything. You knew that you were going to be going up against a second Psychic Scream. Maybe saving that Cold Blood for your Leroy would have been able to put you in a position to be able to do the damage that you need to. But at the same time, is this a good move from Helsinki Reds to actually utilize the Anduin here? Because how do you heal now that you don't have your heal online, but also that Duskbreaker pickup?
I think that
Ooh.
they had to. Yeah, and that Duskbreaker is good, but they had to get that Anduin online. There was no way for them to clear the 7/8. And so that was the cleanest way to do it without digging through their deck looking for it. And right there, that is a huge pickup. That is pretty much game ending when you've got the Drake in hand and then able to heal for 6 without there being much. That's just huge. Game ending for Royal Blue here on this odd rogue, I believe.
Yep. And there's not a whole lot that, you can really do at that point. But like, yikes, you don't have many cards left, and there's so much stain now coming out from that Control Priest.
And seeing that, like using the Vile Spine here is just, like on a 3/3, it feels super bad.
The light protects me.
Oh my goodness.
It does feel bad, but that's just, you're trying to keep the dream alive.
Yeah, this is just not what you want to see. The last card in the deck, I believe, being the South Sea Hand deck hand for 2 damage. It can't even push lethal in the same turn. So this is really rough. We see that Helsinki is still holding on to that Drake. They're just waiting for that final, I think, push by Royal Blue.
Speaks to me.
That'll
Helsinki
seal
Red.
it.
Yeah. So
yet to be seen, thinking very critically about how they really want to finish out this next match. And you're going to see that Twilight Acolyte go out, trade that attack with the Vile Spine, maybe get some more cards online, but that's really just a reactivator for the Void form here. I don't even know if it really goes to Janetsky, though, being able to take this, because I mean,
yes,
see,
it's a very different, very difficult place to be. Sorry, I was having some technical issues that we were fixing there. But yes, this is a hard spot to be in, but we can see that this is actually going to end up being lethal.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's the Mind Blast, there's the Void form. I mean, I was actually surprised. I thought we were gonna see just a forfeit here coming out from Royal Blue, but I like the fight. I like the effort all the way to the end. So much respect there for both of these teams, and now we're tied up in the series. So
1-1.
we have a 1-1. We will be going to a third match, and now we know that the Control Priest is out and the Malagos Druid is out. And these were 2 decks that really did have a leg up in these matchups. So now that those are out of the way, these odds are very 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, the Spell Hunter having, I believe, or the mid-range hunter being slightly favored, I believe, over the spell. But the odd rogues, if it becomes down to a mirror match, that's going to definitely be up to the text. Oh, and we see the Spell Hunter and the mid-range hunter queued up. So, again, I if I remember correctly, the stats here for Helsinki Reds is going to be a little bit not in their favor, Nekra.
Yeah, the Spell Hunter just like doesn't do as well against the hybrid version. And let's talk about why. So, in my understanding of this, and when I play the deck, I just find that the hybrid hunter is able to generate more board presence than what the Spell Hunter is capable of doing because you are relying on drawing the right cards to be able to then have some sort of random generation of what goes on board. And that just doesn't feel as good as knowing ahead of time what minions you run in your deck and then potentially drawing them out with Master's Call or something like that further along the line.
I think the biggest thing is that the secret hunter gets on a lot faster. Usually gets on the board a lot faster. Those hyenas, the hyenas along with the spring paws can make really sticky, gross boards very quickly.
Yeah.
But if the spell hunter is allowed to get into that mid range, the 3, 4, 5, and it can just steamroll any deck for that matter. So, not the fastest start here. We don't see a spellstone in hand for Royal Blue. We do see a secret. We see that hyena come in hand, which can be great, especially with Master's Call on 3, being able to
Yeah.
have some gross minions, if you will, but not the fastest start. So I wouldn't be surprised. We're going to see the hyena come down maybe here. They do pick it up. How do you feel about that Necro if hyena comes down on turn 2?
I'm just worried that it gets taken out super quickly because you do have the ability to answer some things like you might coin out the animal companion, and that's something that you're thinking of. You might see a wandering monster, and you might just see that scavenging hyena not get any value. So may as well wait until you know that it's going to get buffed, because then the spell hunter has a little bit harder of a time to be able to deal with it. But this is an incredibly good pickup here for Royal Blue. Seeing that crackling razor maw come into hand. Remember, we just watched a matchup where there were problems with the hybrid hunter, and that problem was not drawing anything to be able to do on turn 2 and 3. So this feels so much better. This is going a lot better for both of these players.
There is a lot to do here. Depends on how aggressive you really want to play. That secret's probably not explosive trap. There's probably some other secrets you're thinking are probably not down, like freezing trap. It might be snake trap. So there's a lot of things to weigh in this one. They do decide to go with a little less aggressive and not proc that secret, which I think is really smart since you don't know what it is. And you're not as worried about this board right now, because if they build with Misha or Leok, even Huffer doesn't feel that bad since you've got a secret in place. So I like the call to wait there. I think they're building up to what could potentially be a very large board.
Yes. And ooh, look at the Dire Frenzy pickup. I mean, do you use it here on this Dire Mole, or do you wait until you see something just a little bit juicier come on board? Because I mean, I would not want to deal with a 3/7 Dire Mole. I'll be really a 4/7 Dire Mole. That's insane.
It can clear the board, but I'm not sure that knowing that you've got that crackling razor maw coming into hand with the spring paws and the scavenging 2, nonetheless, scavenging hyenas, I really feel like you just wait and savor a very juicy hyena, because being able to get not 1 but 2 hyenas on board with maybe some spring paw, the dire mole might die off. There's a lot of juicy things that happen here. So maybe we just see a crackling razor maw and then a hero power pass on this
hope for claws maybe to try to deal with the we're really not going to see that, but maybe the hope
any of these choices.
I guess go for the Rocky Carapace. Maybe then you Dire Frenzy that and you get a 4/9. I mean, that's ridiculous, but
that's a pretty interesting choice. And we do see the scavenging hyena come out here. I'm a little surprised by that. There's a lot of ways for this hunter to clear that. I feel like that could have waited for a better turn to get buffed on, honestly. I'm a little surprised to see it down. Maybe they're saying you've got to have an answer for this, and we do see that there are several answers.
Yeah, one of those being UTH, which is going to be a huge value turn for Helsinki. Not before that Venom Strike trap comes out, but you get that hyena out of the way already, and there's just a lot of clear that's going to happen with this board.
But that being said, that Cobra coming out kind of does change things a little bit, because now
does.
they are going to clear the Cobra. I have a feeling one way or the other. We do see that Hunter's Mark in hand, which can kind of, tidy up this board just a little bit more. But it does change things when that Cobra is out on the board, because now you really have to deal with that. Instead of getting the most menacing minions off and kind of taking control back, now you're having to deal with that poisonous.
Yeah, and that poisonous is not something that you want to stick around, especially because you never know what kind of zombies are going to show up. So you don't want them to be threatened by being completely eliminated right off the bat. But this is a very clean trade coming up from Royal Blue. I know that one feels super good, and maybe you just subject 9 here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that's really the only play. You've got to save that Spring Paw Hyena for like a really good turn.
Yeah.
And this gives you redraw. You're gonna be able to put down like a snake trap, or something like that, and that's gonna play into a huge Hyena turn. And we see that Hunter's Mark is gonna come down. We've got Rokedalar in hand. We've got a lot of damage spells. We've got Rexar in hand. There's just a lot for Helsinki Reds to deal with these boards. But sometimes, the Rhino burn. Oh, that just feels terrible.
I knew something was going to happen because, we saw Royal Blue sitting in a full 10 card hand, but not that card. Like, that's like the one.
Not like this, Royal Blue. Oh no!
Not like
Hashtag
this.
it. Jeez. But it's not the end of the world. That Dire Frenzy still can do some pretty gross things on a Hyena, as long as the second Hunter's Mark doesn't come down. They don't have any. Forgive me, the 3-mana spell that destroys a random minion. I can always think of what it does, but never the name. My apologies. But there's a lot that they can do to clear a large menu like that. But we can see how this Spell Hunter really has some like counter pressure that they can put on. A 5/5 is super hard for Royal Blue to deal with neatly, other than that freezing trap.
Yeah, so we might see. Haha!
Oh,
There's
there
the
we
Dire
go.
Frenzy.
That Dire Frenzy, you wanted that, and there it is, Necra.
I know, it's so hard to be able to deal with a 4/7 minion. Like, I'm telling you, it's so good. But go ahead and put that freezing trap out. Maybe get lucky by hitting that Devil Sword. But
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of ways for the Devil Sword not really to go back in hand here. Since it is a spell hunter, you don't have, other than Unleash the Hounds, you don't have a whole lot of charge minions or rush minions that come off. If you play an Animal Companion or a To My Side here, then maybe. But if you're in Royal Blue's position, you don't feel that bad if a Huffer goes back in hand to stop some damage. You can put that explosive trap to kind of deal with that later on. So I don't mind. I think it's a good call on this, but on Royal Blue's part, sorry.
Yep.
These secrets.
Oh boy. Let's see. So many secrets.
It is a game of secrets. Where's the Chief Inspector now, Necra?
Yeah, I know. Well, too bad. It's out of the running already because none of these teams are actually running Chief Inspector. In the
we
odd
do see
rogue,
he
so
takes the rat trap. I like that.
it'll go off.
It'll definitely go off, giving you
Yeah.
a 6/6 minion. It was probably the most aggressive play. Just look at this hand: 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's just it's gonna go off. The snipe might have felt nice in the moment, but you could probably play in to something there with the Spring Paw. So I like that choice of the rat trap.
Oh, but this decision might get punished here because look at how long Royal Blue is taking to make this decision. Well, my Spring Paw didn't die, so that's one of the secrets off the list.
Mm-hmm. Nothing went back into hand, so it's
No.
not freezing. So what do you play here?
Nope. You pop the rat trap is what you do. Ooh, that does not, it's like you did all this work. You were so patient with the scavenging hyena, and now, because of the foresight that Helsinki had when picking that secret from Secret Plan,
Mm-hmm. But
is Doom Rat.
Yeah, it is gonna taking 6 to face here doesn't feel all that great, but we do know there's lots of oh yes, the snake trap goes off too. We do know that that rat's actually gonna go back into, well, it's
Oh
not even
yeah.
gonna go back into hand, it's gonna get burned if he attacks with it. So maybe he holds on to it here, knowing that very well that could be freezing.
I mean, you could still clear. Oh, that's true. You don't want to use it at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he knows.
that was a very good call on Helsinki's Red's part. They knew that there was a good chance that they would burn that rat. So, wow,
Better
that's
to
the
burn the
phrase for it,
rat.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Burn
no,
that rat.
yeah, better to not burn the rat and actually force out resources from Royal Blue. So now, how do you deal with this 6/6 minion that's on board right now? You've got Spring Paws, you've got your snakes, you've got a couple kill commands, and there's definitely ways to be able to do that. But if the rat had just gotten burned, those resources are utilized elsewhere. So
Yes, that
you
was a
gotta.
very smart call.
Mhm. Not even gonna go for the clear on the rat though. Very interesting. Going to just opt to deal tons of damage
Mhm.
because we're coming up on Zul'jin. That is going to be seen very very soon here, and may as well force out as much damage as you can because some of those spells that you utilize might hit face.
Yeah, I like this call here. I mean, they're still sitting in the same place now. Oh, and the burn of a spell stone. I don't know that that's going to matter if that will really be something that will come into play in this game. There's so much, but this very well could be the turn that Helsinki Red could turn this around, being able to stabilize behind a couple of hero powers. But I like the fact that they didn't worry about that rat trap or that rat on board because they still have the freezing trap. There's not a ton of bursts without except for if they get unleashing hounds off of that,
Right.
which they did. That was pretty much the only punish for Royal Blue.
Yeah, now that that freezing trap is gone, you have free reign. That rat is, probably going to hit base, and that's going to be a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's, as I said, that this could be the place where Helsinki Red just turn it right back around and are able to maybe stabilize at 9 health here.
I mean, we've been saying this player name a lot, but something that Janetsky's actually very good at is coming back and being patient in very dire situations. We saw that in their matchup against Boar Control earlier on in the Battle Rift series that's actually going on in the EU region. So, it's no surprise to me that Janetsky in this situation against the player from Royal Blue has actually been keeping very calm and just kind of pushing forward.
Yes, yeah, they've done an excellent job of not panicking, of making sure that their plays are clean. Stabilizing around 7-9 health does not ever feel good, especially in a
No.
deck that runs Zul'jin, is already kill commanded. There's a lot that it can do to really kill you in one turn, but they've really looked to see what they could do and have done a great job utilizing the resources they've gotten. That Rokedalar was huge with the Unleash the Hounds to clear the freezing trap to be able to deal damage to face. So excellent work on Helsinki's Red's part, I think.
I think though, in this situation, you might have to Rexar, and I know that feels bad because like you might end up having a turn where you Rexar and then you go straight into Zul'jin, but you got to be really careful about how low you actually get. So, but we'll see here. I guess gonna go ahead and roll the die using that Stampede, which really doesn't do a whole lot for you if you are a spell hunter. But that freezing trap with the Hound is going to help by getting something else on board. But still gotta be careful. Zul'jin's coming out next turn for Burrow.
Yeah, and I kind of like the holding of the tracking here, knowing that Zul'jin is probably going to be coming out for them. You don't want to burn a couple extra cards right here. So patience is a virtue. I think they did an excellent job, like looking through and deciding what they wanted to do. This is going to go longer if they're going to win it. So if they're going to turn around and take it, they need every card in their deck, probably.
Very true. So we'll see what happens here. very shortly.
Lots of secrets up. We've still got misdirection, which can be huge for Helsinki Red. We've got Wandering Monster and Explosive Trap up here. And they're reaching for Zul'jin this turn. I don't mind it. It can be a huge board swing.
You
You know,
have
maybe
to.
clear off some of this.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like that.
Oh,
this is
wow. The kill
play that they
command went
made.
first.
Oh, man. Woo!
Oh, but that's a big deal. 4/4 charger. Oh, and then they pull at least one off the top. That feels pretty good. Lots of secrets. Where does that kill command go? Oh, it goes face. That
Wow.
would have been an excellent place to go had it gone to their face. It didn't kill off any of this board, but there's a ton. This explosive traps up. There's wandering monster. There's a this is definitely a swing turn possibility here, especially with that 4/4 charge hound with crackling razor maw. I mean, it's a big deal.
Wow. This is nuts. I mean, look at it's always so daunting when you look at your opponent that is shrouded by secrets. Like, but hey, we're gonna answer with a Zul'jin on the other side as well. So
Do you like not clearing the secrets there first, Nekra? Would you clear the secrets first? And then
no,
Zul'jin?
I think that you need the armor at this point. Like, there's Helsinki knows that lethal is in hand for, like, most likely for Royal Blue. It's like you need the armor. The best thing that you could possibly do right now is just try to answer with your own Zul'jin. Hope that none of the spells that you utilized earlier end up hitting you. But
I like it.
yeah, I don't know. I think that you just wait and see. You be patient here.
I agree. I like it a lot there. The secrets that were placed were Wandering Monster and Rat Trap again. So, which they would know because the interesting thing with Zul'jin is it actually shows you what spells are casted, so they know what's going on there. We're gonna summon a random beast. All right.
Let's see if Burrow chooses to adapt. Going to utilize the hero power, just trying to get them in range of being able to utilize one of those buffed hounds. I mean, there's the potential of drawing 3 of those now, which would be 12 damage, but you know, you still have to worry about what secrets are online because, you know, I think there was one before Zul'jin went off, correct?
Yes, there was. It was actually, I believe it was
It was
the
the
misdirection.
misdirection.
Yes. And we're at the most interesting game of chicken ever, I feel
Yeah.
like, because there's so many secrets up. So it's who's going to proc the secrets first? What are they waiting to do that with? And will it kill somebody? Because on one side, you only have 11 health. So charge minions really do a lot of damage here. However, on the other side, you had like 13 damage plus hero power and the weapon basically able to push lethal almost without much damage from hand. So it's a very interesting game of chicken that Royal Blue and Helsinki Red are having to play.
I think Royal Blue wins this game of chicken. If I'm going to call it now, I think that, you know, even though there are a lot of cards in Helsinki's hand, they aren't tools. They aren't resources that are really going to flip this one around. I mean, you have To My Side, you'll be able to get the board up, but what do you do against this menacing board that Royal Blue has?
I mean, you've got a lot of removal, though, honestly. If you're looking at the board, on the other side, you've got Deadly Shot. The misdirection's probably going to hopefully kill off. I mean, it's a very weak mass hysteria at this point, but hopefully we'll maybe kill off something. Maybe you get it To My Side. But you're right. I mean, there's just not a lot left here to deal with. And we know that's going to go back in hand. Oh, it's not even. He burned the rat.
Oh,
He burned
man.
the rat.
No.
But I mean, I think you probably called this one correctly. You know, the triggering all these secrets has built this board up, and there's just not a whole lot to be done.
Yeah, because even you're gonna see Rexar being used here after at least getting some damage onto Misha, right? But look at how much damage is still left. That only gives you 5 extra armor. You do have the candle shot. This is a good use of tools from Helsinki, but there's
And they
still
need
tons of damage.
And
Ooh.
we just heard from the desk that Intrepid Fox actually beat Nordavind 3-1. That is
Wow.
quite an interesting turn of events there going
Yeah.
on in the behind-the-scenes Swiss of round 2.
Yes, very interesting indeed, especially because we just saw pretty stellar performance coming out from Nordavind.
Yeah, I agree.
So, think about how strong the deck lineup must have been from Intrepid Fox.
Yes. Oh, Wind Fury would have been an excellent pickup here.
Oh,
Divine Shield probably doesn't feel too bad, but when you're able to push 10 damage base if you'd like, that's not a bad place to be in.
no, not at all.
So, but props to Helsinki Red. They're still alive. Stabilizing at 4 health and continuing to push forward. That's great. But look at this. 3 more wolves on board. How do you deal with this, Nekra? Can you deal with this?
I really don't think so. I feel like the
Hail
only
Mary.
yeah, the Hail Mary zombies I would put my money on. But you're going to see that the immediate selection of the healing is going to come out, but is that enough? I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a single thing that you can really do here to stabilize. I mean, getting the bloat bat out might have a poisonous bloat bat. I don't even know the odds on that. I'd like to know the odds, but I don't know that you can. There's a whole lot you can really do here. Divine Shield minion, destroy. I mean,
There's the deadly shot. That's what you were talking about.
Yes, the deadly shot. And then the misdirection maybe takes off, if you're lucky, it takes off another 6 damage. They're going to KC this. It's not lethal, shockingly,
No.
right? But knowing that misdirection is coming. But props. I'm going to continue to keep throwing props to Helsinki. I mean, they do give it up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was heartbreaking on Helsinki's Red part, just because they fought so hard to try to bring that back. But as we said, that mid-range hunter just does work in that early game. So,
and you saw that just Royal Blue ended up with an amazing curve at the very beginning. You did have cards to be utilized on turns 2 and 3, very different than the series that we just watched with Nordavind. Which was just exactly that. Just not seeing any cards meant the end of that hybrid hunter. But queuing in immediately to the odd rogue mirror. I mean, what are players are just consistently switching it up. I think that knowing that Royal Blue only had the odd rogue left, I guess Helsinki's thinking, I've got better tech. I win this matchup. And so let's talk about that really, really quick run, and that's for Helsinki Red. They basically have the exact same deck list. It is an odd rogue. You've got the classic cards that make it odd rogue. But Helsinki's running a Crystallizer. You've got an Edwin Van Cleef, 1 Vicious Fledgling instead of 2, and Captain Greenskin. And on the other side of things with Royal Blue, you've got King Mukla. You have a Void Ripper. And those are the 2 cards that really kind of scream thonk to me. Because I don't see those very often, and I feel like that's not normal tech that you would see in an odd rogue deck. But maybe walk me through how this plays out.
We don't see Mukula come into hand on either side, had Mukula come out, that could have been a huge turn 3 there. And that could have actually swung the game if there's no way to actually get that out of hand. So I really like that tech choice. The Void Ripper is interesting. Having these dire moles in the deck that can go from 1/3s Yeah, you have 2 of those on the board. You go from 2 damage to 6. That's a huge deal. You take your Tar Creeper from a 3/5 to a 5/3. All of these things that could really make a huge difference. I like it. Your Fungal Mancer can oftentimes give you some extra damage with solid bodies. So it's really a toss-up, I think, of which one's better and which one's drawn. And we can see that not a lot of the techs have actually been drawn at this point.
Right, but look who's in a better position right now. And I'm gonna give it to Royal Blue at the moment, just because you had the choice to either utilize the Henge Clan Thug or the Vicious Fledgling, and that's going to force out some answers here from Helsinki. Like, you do see the Deadly Poison. You might want to actually like tap, which just utilizes mana, or you've got like this Southsea Deckhand. But either way, you're taking some damage to the face. Even after Royal Blue has started to get that Henge Clan Thug set up.
And this does leave in a very interesting spot. There, like, I can tell that Royal Blue is thinking about, do I bump in here? When are we going to weapon again? That kind of thing. And so that was a good call. They really don't have any cards in hand that are going to make this next turn very viable. So we do see that the Deadly Poison is going to be used on the weapon. I think that's an excellent choice for Helsinki Red.
Oh yeah. I mean, you called it just like it is, and you got to just kind of do what you can to be able to deal with that. But still, 4 damage to the face, and look at the answer now that Royal Blue has. It's like, well, you dealt with my Henge Clan Thug. Why don't you go ahead and smack your face into this one too?
I mean, not a whole lot of choices of what else to do. You don't want to not do anything. Being passive here just does not work. So utilize resources is basically what I think Royal Blue is saying here. Like, either take damaged face and I'm gonna do what odd roads do and get you low enough and then just burst you to death. So I like that play there. It always feels bad knowing you're putting a minion out to die. However, it's for a good cause.
Do what odd rogues do. I like it. But wow, holy cow, did Janetsky end up widening that board? This is a lot of board presence now for Helsinki. And, you don't really have a very good answer to this, except to just put out this massive Scalebane. And hope that, if you are Helsinki, you just kind of sack everything into it. But the Tar Creeper.
The Tar Creeper coming into hand is huge here. They've got Fungal Mancer to be able to do crazy things with, really deal some damage here. If they would like, they also have that Tar Creeper in hand, Redagger, push everything face. I mean, there is so many options over there right now for Helsinki Red.
Right.
Royal Blue is sitting with this really chunky hands. I mean, that just chunky just does not feel good in this matchup.
No, it does not feel very good at all. I mean, now look, that you were in a really good position if you were Royal Blue, and now the tide's just shifted.
It has indeed. I mean, this is just not the place you want to be in. You're wanting to build big boards. That Vilespine pickup was pretty legit, though.
It
being
was.
able to clear that. I mean, granted, a 2/1 on the board doesn't feel great because you still can't use that Fungal Mancer to its full value, but it does. The Vilespine's a good body and gets rid of some of the larger Fungal Mancer buff there on the elemental. So, but the Scalebane coming down, it hurts. If you're sitting on Royal Blue's side, that just hurts.
Yeah, because you're right, though. Look at how odd and awkward this hand is for Royal Blue. That's why it hurts so much, Ron, because you really just don't have good answers. And even if you found something like, there's the Void Ripper that we were talking about before. Don't think it's going to be helpful in this situation.
But how do you feel about just doing Dagger and then Myra's looking for lethal here? I mean, they're doing it. Tar Creepers in hand, and honestly,
they're doing it.
There we go, Cold Blood. Double Tar Creeper might be able to slow things down here. Potentially with 2 Tar Creepers, we see the SI agent in hand with the Cold Blood and the Leroy and the Fungal Mancer. This very well could turn things around for Janetsky for Royal Blue, because they went for it there. I
They
like
went
this
for it.
call, and that health total's looking a little squeamish if you're on a Helsinki's red side, but huge board.
Huge board indeed. And even like looking at the amount of damage though in hand, we know that neither Odd Rogue is running healing. So damage is permanent, and there's a lot of chip damage that Helsinki actually took because of that deadly poison that we saw earlier on in this matchup. So you've already experienced some of that damage. There goes out the Tar Creeper. There's the Hench Clan Thug that's going to get buffed. Is there a way to deal with this Tar Creeper right now and deal with some of this board? Ooh, oh my goodness.
That was the perfect buff there. I mean, we can see that it's not there's not a lot of ways to deal with this. If you're sitting on Royal Blue's side, double Tar Creeper doesn't feel great with all of these large minions sitting out, but it's kind of what you gotta do. We do see the Cold Blood come out, but that doesn't feel great. Also, there's some more of the burst damage that you have in hand to be able to clear this board. But they're going wide.
Ooh, we have another update for you. Swagway Gaming is actually going to win 3-1 over Ent. So that's another round 2 Swiss that is done. I mean, I'm expecting we'll be able to give you a lot of score updates because I believe this is going to a match through 5.
Yes.
Woo!
I mean, there is burst damage available here. If they don't protect themselves, there's not a great way to clear. But I really feel like we're probably going into a game 5 here.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's just, you used so much burst damage to be able to deal with this menacing board from Helsinki that you really don't have those tools anymore. But the other thing, too, and now we're going to see the answer from Helsinki utilizing that Myra's unstable element, and you're in a little bit of a better position if you are Helsinki. But oh my god, that Hench Clan Thug did so much damage.
Yep, there's lethal.
That's lethal. That's exactly lethal.
A great call. And yeah, I mean, that was really whoever had it last or whoever acted first acted last there. What a matchup there. Wow. That takes it to 2-2, right, Necra?
It does take it to 2-2. So that
So we just got another update. Epic Esports lost 3-2 to M&M Gaming. So lots of score updates coming your guys' way. Lots of really awesome teams. Every time I hear one, I'm like, woo! So we'll keep you guys posted as we hear them come down the line. So now we're going into the Spell Hunter versus the Odd Rogue matchup, Necra.
Yep. And that Spell Hunter might have some trouble here. I'm going to be really honest. Like, I think that it depends on what you get early on in the draw, but I think that Odd Rogue can be really aggressive if given the opportunity.
Yeah, and I like that the Tar Creeper is actually put in this list because you can get minions behind it. However, I like Spell Hunter 2 here. It's able to get a lot of bigger bodies out earlier, when you've got oh my goodness, Animal Companion coming down. You've got a couple of other ways to clear boards with early, Hunter's Mark candle shots. You've got Flanking Strike on 4. You've got a lot of ways to kind of deal with these 1-2s, these 1-3s. So I kind of like Spell Hunter in this matchup, and we can see that they don't actually pick up anything good, but Mukula comes in hand. Let's see if that tech does any good for them.
I mean, maybe. This is what I was excited to see, was whether or not Mukla could really run away with the game. And being the Odd Rogue, you like being able to see yourself going first. I know that coin can be some of the combo cards that are in the Odd Rogue deck, but got to start out strong and getting some tempo.
But the one thing that you hate seeing as an Odd Rogue is there's so many 1-drops that you can pick up that are great 1-drops, and maybe cutting some of the, I believe this is that Royal Blue is the actual one that cut the Argent Squires. Maybe that's the downside, you don't pick up as many
Yes.
minions. And we can see how that kind of hurts us here, because had they had the ability to, put out that Archer Squire and Cold Blood with another 1-drop, could have been great, but instead they just have to pass the turn. And how passive is that for the Odd Rogue that really needs
Yeah.
to get out early with the Spell Hunter?
Right. Ooh, we have another score update for you. New Dynasty is actually going to take a loss in Swiss Rounds 2 to Oslo Lions, and that's going to be a 1-3. So Oslo
1-3,
Lions
wow.
winning that series at 3, and New Dynasty at least able to take one match off of them with that one. But that's starting to round out some of the scores here for Swiss Rounds 2, isn't it? We don't have many left.
Nope.
Gonna hear from Ents.
So Gamers Origin versus Sector 1 is the last one that we have to give you an update on. So we'll let you guys know. And we see that Mukula come down. Oh my goodness.
I'm so excited.
This is exactly why I think this is in the deck. It's so hard to clear if they don't have Hunter's Mark Candle Shot in hand. But we can see that they actually top deck this Hunter's Mark. And honestly, I'm not even sure if they deal with it just yet. We'll see. Because knowing that they have the ways to deal with it, maybe they just sit back and say, meh. But it does come down. Hunter's Mark Candle Shot, the only way to deal with this Mukula. And now that feels super bad because there's 2 bananas in hand that can buff any minion that comes out.
That's just unlucky. Like the odds of having both, like the odds of just having both of those cards in hand to be able to deal with a Mukla that you see on turn 3, no less. Like that's just an unlucky turn of events. But go ahead and pop the secret that Wandering Monster is not going to get cleared. Oh,
I kind of like that.
Warsong Commander.
I like that choice there, knowing that the War Commander was going to end up coming out. Like, something could potentially come out. They wanted to be able to deal with it. So I like that choice there. They could have Deadly Poisoned maybe to make sure that, most, like probably 80% of the minions would have been cleared there, maybe 90%. But they chose a Firefly to put a body on board. I like that choice. Keeping those bodies, buffing those bodies, knowing that Fungal Mancer's coming next turn. I really think that they went the right way there.
I agree with you 100% because now you're going to be able to at least buff something. But looks like Helsinki really doesn't want to give that opportunity. Ooh, gonna go ahead and use a banana. Oh, coin banana. Talk me through why that worked here.
I'm interested in the coin banana there. Maybe because if there's a second SI agent in hand, they're going to, it's going to be harder to clear without like using the Firefly.
Right.
I think there's knowing that they're probably going to have like a Deadly Poison, which means they're going to have to re-dagger. There's a lot of ways to keep them from building a bigger board. So I kind of like that. It's a very big tempo play, in my opinion, to kind of keep the tempo on their side because this wolf isn't going to die easily.
No, it's not.
So, especially on turn 5, like a Vile Spine's not coming out. They're going to take more damage to face. I like it. I like what they did there, but this board is a little scary if you're sitting on Helsinki Red side right now.
Yeah, but that UTH pickup.
Oh my goodness.
That UTH pickup.
That's really good. We're sitting at turn 5. There's a lot of stuff that can go down here. You can use that extra banana you got. You can, you could put up another secret for the Wandering Monster, maybe high roll there. You could get the snakes out. There's just so much going on in this hand. You got Eaglehorn Bow. If I'm Helsinki Red, I don't mind this position at all.
Yeah. Woo! That's just like,
And Misha, I like it.
There's so many good card combinations that you can do if you're Helsinki Reds here, and I think that you're just seeing just one of the many possibilities. But now if you're Royal Blue, how do you really respond to this except to potentially maybe go for a buff and hope that your Hench Clan Thug doesn't die?
Yeah, there's not. I mean, using cold blood here to clear a minion just doesn't feel great. You don't know what
No.
that secret is. I don't know. Like I'm almost considering a passive play, maybe like a Cobalt. Fungal Mancer is nice, but if it's freezing trap, you lose the buff on that. There's just a lot of stuff you can't buff your Hinge Clan without bumping 4 into the face, which is a huge waste. So, um, yeah, and there goes down the snake trap, which feels bad. But I do like this play. It allows them to use the weapon to clear with that Void Ripper. And they're
Yeah.
just going to push a lot of damage face, 9 damage face, without a way to like foreseeably clear. Most likely they don't have the second
Oh my
smart
gosh.
candle shot in hand.
Oh.
But that To my side is a huge pickup here.
Oh
Huge.
yeah, it is. To my side, you could
And unleash the
even
hounds.
yeah, you could even unleash the hounds. You could use a banana. There's many ways now to be able
They're
to deal with the
so
henge
good.
clans. Oh,
Yeah.
that's exactly what. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what they needed, and it was that Leon.
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, if you're sitting in, as the odd rogue here, it just feels bad. You've got chunky minions that are just not going to do a whole heck of a lot for you.
Again.
And so we see more damage to face. It doesn't feel great. We see weapons and hands, buff in hand, that hero power that can just chip away at you, and a freezing trap to just add insult to injury.
Yeah, yikes. That I mean, what can you do at this point?
This odd rogue just has had some trouble here to get anything done, unfortunately for them. And then we pick up another 5-drop. When you're sitting in the 8, you can clear with the vicious fledgling and a vile spine, but that doesn't feel great.
And so there goes your cobalt. You're gonna definitely drop the vicious fledgling. I think you're gonna use the vile spine as well. Maybe hope
Yeah.
that either of those sticks around. But now after all of those incredible turns coming out from Helsinki, they're running out of resources. But again, just these top decks coming out right now. You've got
Yeah.
now like just more and more damage coming. I think this is
Actually
2,
lethal.
3, 6. This is lethal.
Yes. Yep.
Lufla actually a detriment here.
Yep. Had there been a little bit faster on board, maybe. I don't know that those 1/1s would have, but
I just did the run thing. Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Rita. I'm still Rita. I'm still joined by Boston and Green Sheep, and we've been discussing these games. Obviously, I just want to point out before we start, superior analyst right here, 3-2 prediction to Helsinki Reds. Just yeah.
We were both wrong.
So yeah. So the producer was just given some information in my head, but we have some results for you. We're going to start off with those, and that means that Sector 1 did beat Gamers Origin, I think 3-2. Gamers Origin beat Sector 1 3-1, and obviously, in case you weren't aware completely about the results, I'm just going to run them through quickly. Sector 1 beat Gamers Origin, Interpreted Fox beat Norderwind 3-1, Ends lost to Square 3-1, Epic Esports 2-3 against M&M Gaming. New Dynasty lost to Oslo Lions 3-1, and Royal Blue, obviously, we just saw, lost 3-2 to Helsinki Reds. So let's go back to the start of the series. And for the thing that I put down, we were just kind of discussing that the Druid Q first kind of like won them the game by themselves because the hunts into the Druid did just not work out. Anything about that game 1 that you think wasn't that strong, or things that you wanted about the game 1, Rebobson?
Yeah, there was, I think, just one little questionable decision. There was, I think it was turn 9. The hunter had the eagle horn bow equipped, and for some reason just decided to use their face instead of a minion to clear one of the druid's minions off. And I think that was a bit questionable, because if you take extra damage against a Malagos druid, which is capable of such insane damage output, then you're asking for a bit of trouble. And there was also a bit of a questionable turn where I think in order to proc the rat trap, the Malagos druid could have used Nourish to ramp the mana as well as get cards out of their hand. They had Ultimate Infestation already in their hand, and they instead went for some kind of very strange coin Arcane Tyrant, which would have been playable had they played the Nourish anyway, naturalized play, and then Ultimate Infestation ended up burning 2 cards. So I think that was a bit of a sequencing.
Bit of a bummer, maybe? I don't know. But game 2, which was Oddrogue versus this Priest, and I know that you have quite a few things to say about the Mulligan Green Sheep, so apparently bird wasn't the word, so just try to talk me through why that was the correct thing.
Yeah, so I really wasn't Mulligan here. So even though we're going first, you know that the vicious fledgling, the Flappy Bird, as to say, the bird that wins the game on turn 3, it can die to a coin Dustbreaker, but it's still one of the priority free drops that you want. The only other free drop you'd probably want against the Priest as the Odd Rogue is the Henchland Fog, which they did get by throwing away the Vicious Fledgling. But
yeah, obviously.
Me personally, I really like keeping the Vicious Fledgling, because it just forces the answer of it's only the coin Dustbreaker. They have to have it. If they don't have it, then the Vicious Fledgling most of the time just solos the game there. It snowballs and snowballs, and as the Priest, you can't really deal with it if it gets untargetable or if it gets health, because they just can't do anything without running any spell breakers or any master spell.
And you were kind of saying and pointing out about that handstand fuck, especially when you're running a double holy fire list, it becomes really interactable with. Like, it's very easy to remove because just the nature of the holy fire dealing the 5 damage and stuff like that. I also have something with a trade on a pyromancer. Now I can't remember the specific turn, but it was a turn where we could have traded our 1 henchland over to protect our second one from a pyro play or something like that.
Yeah, it was turn 4 where there was a 3/3 pyromancer on board. You had no, it's turn 5. There was a 3/3 pyromancer on board. There was a 5/4 henchland fog. We could have took a value trade to make sure that the Wild Pyromancer wouldn't get another of its 1 damage AoE procs off the following turn to trade off into the henchland. But we went face, which is consistent with how the game plan went, because the following turn they're going for the really beat down plan, but the trade would have made it really hard for the Priest side, Helsinki Reds, to actually kill off the henchland fog. Maybe the henchland fog in the process could have got a few more attacks in the future turns amplifying the damage. And at the end of the game, they weren't that far off. They were only missing a few damage because they did manage to get the Leroy, and it got Psychic Scream back to the Myra's pulled back the Leroy, which was very nice.
Yeah, so moving into game 3, obviously, which was the Hunter class mirror, not the deck mirror, was Spell Hunter as a Secret Hunter. We had already on turn 2, we had a bit of a debate about, do we play this Hyena on turn 2 or not? Like, why did we not, and why did we end up not playing the Hyena, Rebobson?
This one I actually can't remember all too well. So
so it was the Diamol, and then there was the Hyena. He did end up playing the Hyena, if I'm correct.
No, he played Venom Strike Trap. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
This one we don't remember too well, apparently.
Okay, but that was the big one, right?
There was another moment later in that game where I think it was
Subject 9 on turn 5 was
the
not the cleanest. So, Bobson, do you have anything to add to that one when you couldn't answer the previous question on the thing?
Yeah, like this was the one I was more thinking about when I was thinking back to contentious decisions from this game. So it was on turn 5. They had the option of playing a Spring Paw as well as Dire Frenzy, put the 4/4s with Rush, which are just absolutely insane in Hunter versus Hunter matchups, but instead opted to play the Subject 9 and overdraw a card on the following turn. That card did turn out to be Tundra Rhino, which is just so important when it comes to like those really big burst damage turns that Hybrid Hunter is really known for. You know, like Tundra Rhino, fully upgraded Spellstone, something like that. That was not meant to be, and like I think if they had gone for Spring Paw, Dire Frenzy, then they would have been able to go Subject 9 and then play the links on the following turn, which would have made for a lot tidier sequencing, as well as not overdrawing a card. I think there were just quite a few of these moments from Royal Blue, which were just kind of bit of a questionable sequencing, kind of hand size management that I would have liked to see them be just a lot tidier on that front.
Yeah, and sticking with a little bit of interesting play from Royal Blue. There was a turn where they could have played around Rat Trap.
Mm-hmm. I think this was turn 6. They could have played. It was a Spring Paw plus the kill command plus the Hyena. They could have propped the Rat Trap, and then they could have traded in the Spring Paw and kill commanded the Rat Trap, the 6/6, meaning the eventual Hyena would have went up to an 8/5, which would have put it out of range of the Rock Delar, which they eventually died to the turn after. It also would have killed off Beast on your opponent's side of the board, meaning they didn't have access with the kill command to also kill off the Hyena. But I think they went with a different line. I don't think it was entirely wrong, but I think that the line I just said was probably stronger, but can't fault them for that, I think.
And then there was one last, and I'm just going to really quickly go over it. It was one time where we just like played out day. Helsinki Reds decided to play Stampede and a 3-mana Hound from Unleash the Hounds, and just did nothing that turn. There was a lot of different things. They were probably looking for a little bit of a high roll thing there. I'm not really sure that's too much else as that turn specifically. So let's move into turn 4, and I know Green Sheep, you have quite a few things about this one. So let's start with the Mulligan phase from Helsinki's side, where they decide to throw away their deck hand.
Yeah, I think that I play a lot of aggro. I play a lot, and in the mirror, I feel that South Sea Deckhand is one of the best cards, especially going second, because you're playing from behind, and you expect probably turn 3, your opponent's gonna have a free drop. The only real answers you have to a free drop is the Deckhand plus the hero power, the SI agent plus maybe a minion on board, or the dagger plus the deadly poison. Those are the 3 ways. And they basically threw away the deckhand, which I think, as I just said, is probably one of the best ways you get back on turn 3 if your opponent.
Yeah, okay. So also there was a little bit of a thing about the weapon usage from Royal Blue. So I'm thinking here, you're saying that they did not really manage their the weapon swings correctly. That meant that the sport actually eventually ended up snowballing a little bit away from them sheep. So
So I'm gonna have to be real blunt about this. Turn 3, when you have a Hedge Clan Fog and you have a 1 attack dagger up, especially looking at the hand composition, they had a 5-drop Cobalt Scaling, a 3-drop Vicious Fledgling, and
And a
some other
Fungal.
unplayable cards. They
Fungal.
decide to swing the attack with the dagger, meaning the Hedge Clan Fog goes to a 4/4. But as I mentioned earlier, with like the Deadly Poisons and the Saucy Deckhands, all the intervals of damage are in 2s. So 3 HP compared to 4 HP is 0 difference, meaning that the dagger swing to face basically only connects them 3 more damage. And as in the aggro mirrors, you really want to control board as much as possible. And holding onto the dagger means that you don't have to re-dagger in the future turns. If you draw a Saucy Deckhand for, say, on the following turn, you can play it down along with a 3-drop to kill off one of their 3-drops. But unfortunately, we used the dagger up, meaning we didn't have a dagger for like the following 3-4 turns. And it was kind of crucial since the dagger would have helped to clean up the board. And it pretty much just snowballed from there because one last minion got killed on the side of Helsinki Reds, and they basically regained or had the board the whole entire game.
Also because that it was so like annoying, like the deckhand, which would have been really, really good had the dagger still been in play, came off the top the turn after, right? Like not on like there was been like turn 5 where it came down what was relevant, like where it could have taken out one of the 1/2s and made the plays whereas Helsinki Reds and just it ended up being like it's one of those small things that you might not always think about completely. It's like I just want to use my dagger, I want to get my Henchman fuck as big as possible, etc. Right? But moving into game 5, Robobson, the mulligan from Royal Blue where they decide to keep the cold blood and throw everything away. What was the line of thought there?
That's a good question. One that I'm not entirely sure about the answer for. But like the way I see it is obviously they were thinking they want to high roll the matchup. They want to get that 1-drop into 1-drop cold blood. But considering they had no 1-drop already in hand, it means that you need to get 2 1-drops in 2 cards and then in your next 2 draws. The chances of that are really slim. And so the way it worked out was that the cold blood was just kind of stranded there, didn't really get anything done through the matchup, and they ultimately lost 3 games in a row with the odd rogue.
Yeah. And that was one turn I really liked from Helsinki Reds. It was the turn where they went a flanking strike coin banana. Coining the banana made the dog, the wolf, become a 4/4. It put it out of range of the 1/1 on board and dagger. It only really died to deadly poison, and it was only a 1-charge dagger. So it was if they went for the deadly poison, they wouldn't have gotten full value. So I really like that play off Helsinki Reds, and overall, I think that Helsinki Reds played most of their matches very cleanly.
Yeah, so obviously this will be the end of week 1. Obviously, we have 3 more weeks, 2 more weeks of Swiss play, and then obviously the final playoffs in the last Saturday of February. And if we take a look at the matches for the next week really quickly, we already know Rivalries now that we'll know that for round 3. We don't know which one we broadcast just yet, but you obviously will just take a look at all the great matches we have to show you next week. So we have another game versus Oslo Lions, Helsinki Reds versus Nordavind, so 2 teams that we've seen on broadcast today. Swagoya Gaming versus New Dynasty, Epic Esports versus EMS, Intrepid Fox versus Gamers Origin, which I've been told in my ear by my producer most likely will be the broadcasters game of this round next week, and Royal Blue Esports versus Sector 1. So my name is Wita. I was joined by Robobson and Green Sheet. The second part of the day, obviously your casters for the second part of the day was Run, he said, and Necra. You can find our Twitters by putting !casters in the chat. You can find the bracket by going !bracket. And if you want to support House Rivalries, there is a GoFundMe down below us where you can go and donate. It's going to go to prize pool, helping us get a little bit more money in. Just if you want to support a good deal, want to support this great project we have going, feel free. If you don't want to, maybe spread the word about it. But with that being said, anything else you want to add before we close out the broadcast for tonight, Sheep or Robobson?
I don't have anything else I want to add. But sorry if I felt like I was being a bit harsh on the criticism, but I'm a perfectionist. That's the only thing that keeps me happy, and I was not happy.
The only thing that keeps Green Sheep happy is perfect aggro play. That's the only thing.
Other than that, I had a really fun time.
That
Yeah,
is like
it's
what
been
Green GP lives for. Like
fantastic.
he just gets up in the morning, it's like, oh my god, aggro. But with that being said, obviously same time next weekend. As if case you are unaware of that, that's going to be Saturdays 6 p.m. CET. And without that, we'll just see you all next time. Thank you for stopping by.